San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? It's hour one of Jon and Jim. Sports Wrap continues. There are never dull moments here. We are with you for the next 3 hours. Darnay Tripp with us from NBC for the next 20 or 30 minutes. We'll catch up with Eric Haslam, bracketologist, at 5 p.m. We have back-to-back bracketologists the next 2 days, Darnay. We'll have Eric Haslam today. We'll have Ken Pomeroy tomorrow. That's called going back-to-back. Like in baseball, like if Manny and Tatis went back-to-back, Jim, that's like going back-to-back. But in the bracketology circles, if you've got Eric Haslam followed by Ken Pomeroy, you're going back-to-back. So we'll do that today and tomorrow.
Awesome. It'll give me some time to just do nothing,
which is basically what you do for the other 3 hours as well. Okay, we're with you for the next 3 hours. We're reacting to another Padres spring training loss. Joe Musgrove's second outing of the spring as well. I understand it's February. Like a lot of times you don't even have games in February, but that's where we are right now in Major League Baseball. I mean, I think to be fair, and he probably has said as much or feels the same way, like I'm sure he'd prefer better outcomes than what he's had. With all that being said, it is February. You can't read too much into what has transpired here for Musgrove in these two starts. Team in general, 1-4. What does it mean? Literally nothing. Now, it's a shorter spring. They're going to play March 20th. They're going to leave March 13th. Musgrove might only get a couple of more chances, maybe 2 or 3 this spring. So for both of you, Jim, I'll start with you. I mean, is there any level, like on the 1 to 10 scale, of concern with Joe Musgrove, who on February 26th leaves in the first inning with 2 outs, only to come back in the second inning, has a 43.2 ERA in 2 spring outings? So what's your level of concern right now?
On a 1 to 10?
Yes.
I'll go like a 2.5.
I thought you were going to say 1, dude.
I'll go 2.5. Okay, look. I have a hot take.
Right? Wow, just like that.
I have a hot take.
Okay.
Hot take. Now, do I fully believe in this hot take? No, I don't. But okay. I feel like it's I'm going to throw it out there. So after the game today, Joe Musgrove talked to Dennis Lin and mentioned that he is working on some new pitches, working on a slider that sweeps more because he felt like his breaking pitches kind of blended in together last season. Sweeper.
I like that.
All right. Well, when Joe was healthy last year, he pitched really well. He was around a 3 ERA. I know he made 17 starts, but when he was out there, Joe Musgrove was a close to top end rotation starter. Would you guys agree with that?
He had a nice year when he was out there. Yeah.
Yeah. Like he pitched really well. Then he got hurt and it was like a capsule on his shoulder. Didn't need surgery, just needed rehab. He's back out there. Everything's fine. My hot take, and I don't even really believe it, I'm just going to throw it out there.
Okay, let's say something you don't believe. I like it.
Is that the reason why he's changing his breaking pitch, his slider, is because that is the pitch that ultimately hurt his shoulder last year? I don't know. What do you got?
Darnay, would you like to react to that?
No,
Musgrove, you don't want to react to that?
I'm not touching that. I'm not touching that at all.
What I was looking at 2 outings.
I was looking at like velocities, through the years to see if there's any because obviously, like it's speed, it's angle. There's a lot of different factors, but in the moment, I don't know if I can tell you I'm really learning anything. But I'm going to stay away from Jim's hot take for the moment, which is probably just like a good course of action.
Yes,
whenever Jim
I've learned that
presents you with
and
a
I don't
hot
even
take.
believe my hot take. I'm just throwing it out there because I just
Joe
feel
Musgrove is hurt. I don't believe it, but let me throw that out there.
I just feel like I don't know. Someone has to say something, right? Besides,
got to keep the content machine churning.
Got to try to just keep it going, guys.
That's going to be a TikTok in 20 minutes.
And people will be like, "You're an idiot. I hate you. You should never talk Padres ever
as
again.
As long as you're watching, we don't care."
Exactly.
Do you read anything into this? Because if we're going to say, hey, look at Merill, he's had a good spring, or look at King, he's had a good spring, and then someone has a bad spring, doesn't matter. It's a veteran.
Who cares?
Had bad springs before. So does it mean anything or not?
Well, and that's kind of the tricky thing with spring training is like you just ignore the bad things and you're encouraged by the good things. And like, so that's not really anything new. For some reason today, I kept thinking about Jorge Alfaro homering at every single spring training at bat in 2022. Don't look that up, but that's kind of what it felt like. And, he did some good things, but he also didn't have a single at bat in the postseason. So it's just these things are really,
Fair.
really hard to gauge. There are guys that struggle. Remember, I think Blake Snell, his first spring, didn't he have some like scoreless streak that went for a really long time, and he didn't really want to talk about it, but then he had his early season Blake Snell struggles. And so you could come up with like all types of instances. Juan Soto was incredible to start last spring, went to the WBC, had a really bad first month of the year. So what does any of it mean? I think it's like health obviously is of foremost importance. You want guys to look like some semblance of themselves. If Joe Musgrove is still doing this and it's mid-March, then maybe you start to be concerned, because you're looking at like maybe one, if that, appearances before the real thing. And so I don't know how much you can really read into it. If Jim's at a 2.5 on the concern scale, I'm maybe at a half. I'm just not there yet. But on the flip side, man, Michael King looked really good.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. It's like,
Ace.
King with his 2 scoreless innings. Or I'll give you an example, because we should talk about Jackson Merrill. He's basically been anointed through a weekend of this guy's going to be on the big league roster. Fernando Tatis Jr. says age is just the number. Hey, I would sleep here. Jackson Merrill saying, hey, I saw the ball really well yesterday. I doubled off the left field wall. I was 2 for 2 with a walk. Oh, he's going to be on the team. I mean, they don't have outfielders, and now is his time. But again, how can we say that? I mean, talk about overreacting. If we're going to overreact to Musgrove, aren't we even further overreacting to, like, he literally had one game. He hit a dude with the Cubs that was up last year and had a nice year. He was 2 for 2 off that guy. He then walked against a lefty, which is awesome, in 4 or 5 pitches yesterday. We're talking about one spring training game, and I'm not saying AJ Preller's anointing him as of yet, because I have no idea what they're going to do. But I feel like a lot of the fan base and a lot of people that are covering this team, even, it almost is like this foregone conclusion. It's just his time. They didn't make any moves. He had 2 hits the other day. He's going to be on the major league roster.
Well, one thing about Jackson Merrill, hearing him talk after yesterday's game about his approach and his mindset, and then seeing what he did on the field yesterday, going the opposite way, the double and then the single there. That to me is exactly what you want to be seeing if you're the Padres organization. Like, you want to see that mindset, take place on the field with results. And also, when he's talking about his approach, you're like, that is the exact type of approach you want from a young guy, trying to make the big leagues, and a guy that we have a lot of faith in to break camp with the big league roster and contribute. So they're giving him every single opportunity to be on this opening day roster, be in left field, be starting in Korea. And it's really kind of feels like it's up to Jackson Merrill to take that, what opportunity they're giving him, and really run with it. And so far, it feels like it'd be a surprise if he's not on the opening day roster, right, Darnay?
It feels that way to this point.
Off 6 at bats.
Well, I mean, they haven't made a move. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, that's part of it, is like, who's obviously a better option at this point.
Yeah.
And so he probably has to prove it less than like CJ Abrams had to prove it.
Right.
Yeah. And I'm sure, like, if, I'm sure the front office, AJ Preller, would love for him to do that and to continue to play well. And they don't need him to kind of set Cactus League on fire, as great as that would be, but just prove that you're not kind of blown away by legit big league pitching. And through one game of that, that appears to be the case. You're right, it is early, but that's the good thing. We still have a few weeks to go, and there's going to be ample opportunities for him to see some of those guys. And I would think more and more as those big league arms get incorporated a little bit more and get a little bit closer to kind of their regular season form. And so it's early. All we can go with is the information that we have. And as it stands right now, like, if opening day was tomorrow, then like, why wouldn't he? But it, of course, is 24, 25 days away, whatever it is. And so there's time. A lot of things can happen, certainly roster additions, and that would change the complexion of the situation.
Can I give you I hate to be like the cold water guy, because I'm not trying to do it. We'll see what plays out over the spring. But like, why wouldn't you?
I did that with Joe a couple minutes ago.
Yeah, you did. That's weird, because he's like a 30-year-old veteran. But here's the 20-year-old Jackson Merrill.
Injury, so I'm a little concerned.
I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding. But hear me out. I mean, he's 20. He's never had that monster minor league season. He's got very little seasoning above A ball. I'm all for it until you realize that there can be ramifications, or what's the plan if it doesn't work? You put him on a big league roster. He's 20 and he's overmatched. I'm making it up. Maybe he's not. I hope he's not. We all hope that. And it works out swimmingly. But you have to consider at least a possibility. And by the way, it could be a likelihood, but at least a possibility that you get 40 plate appearances and you haven't hit. Or you hit for your first 10, but then there's a 50 plate appearance slide where you reach base safely 4 times and you're plugging someone in, needing to win games. And now what do? You've got a 20-year-old that you're not trying to set back and send back down. Where do you even send him? AA or AAA? When's the next time he gets up? So I'm just saying that there are repercussions to doing something like this if you don't get desired results. Maybe he's the type of guy that can deal with it because he's this top prospect, and maybe he's going to hit from the second he's in the big leagues in the regular season. But if he doesn't, what are you doing to Jackson Merrill? And what are you doing to your team? You got this like interesting decision. You leave him up for 30 days, 15, 45, 6. I mean, you got a lot of decisions to make if the guy doesn't perform at a decent level.
I think we all can agree there is ample risk by doing this with a guy, like you said, who has not had that big minor league season, has never played a game in the position that he is trying to win in spring training. And he does not have the amount of at-bats in the minors that you would like to see from a guy before he is given a full big league full-time roster spot. That being said, you know, the risk there, yes, there is a lot of it, but there's also a lot of reward if this guy actually pans out.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this team is banking on that reward panning out. And I agree with you. If it does not, then they're going to be in a lot of trouble. But so far, so good. I think it's a so far, so good. And you feel like you're cautiously optimistic about this one. You don't want to be like slam dunk. This guy's the next, whoever, Bryce Harper, right? You're cautiously optimistic that what you've seen in the short amount of time and heard from him, that it's like, okay, we're trending upward.
Well, I think, John, and you make a good point, but I think what you're laying out is essentially a roster question. Now, if they had a full 40-man roster with, last year's collection of outfielders, then it would really be a Jackson Merrill discussion. If Trent Grisham and Juan Soto were still around and it was a Zokar or Profar, Jackson Merrill would have to really prove it, and there would be less urgency for him to do that. But the fact of the matter is they have 36, 37 guys on the 40-man roster. Yeah. They have one everyday outfielder in Fernando Tatis Jr. And so that's what has put the spotlight on Jackson Merrill. All of this is a repercussion of that, or a result of that. It's not even necessarily about Jackson Merrill. What he's done to this point is really impressive. But the only reason we're talking about this is because the roster is short on outfielders. And so if they fix that, then, regardless, if they decide, you know what, another month or so, AA, AAA, wherever we want to put them, would do them some good. We're going to ride with Profar, Tatis, Zokar, and Cal Mitchell, then fine. It's not Jim's face. If you're watching on the stream, tells you everything you need to know. It's not the sexiest group, but you're doing that for the benefit of the young man. I wouldn't necessarily argue against that, but they're in the situation. That's why the idea of them not acquiring an outfielder seems so crazy to me, because you're backing yourself into a corner where 100%. All of a sudden it almost necessitates you bringing Jackson Merrill up whether or not he's ready,
which is a problem. That's not the way it's typically done. You typically develop a player. You don't fill a need with someone that isn't fully developed, let alone one of your top prospects, start his clock, then walk into potential issues if it doesn't work out. He had a 760 OPS last year in A-ball. He's switching positions. He's 20. He's got fewer plate appearances in the minor leagues than Fernando Tatis Jr. did when he made his major league debut. I mean, this is what people should be saying.
I agree.
I mean, I'm just, this idea. Well, he
you.
had 2 hits against the Cubs in Mesa, which is great. He could hit 440 this spring. You're evaluating a player off one spring training that ends March 13th and putting him in the big leagues when you're playing a Tuesday in Cincinnati in April. and you got to hit someone.
Do you not know who the general manager of this team is?
But they don't typically do it with position players. I mean, think about the position players that he's relied on to be everyday guys in his tenure. It's like one.
Yeah, if that. I don't think. Name me one prospect. Well, I guess CJ Abrams.
You got, yeah.
I'm thinking about players that have started the opening day on the opening day roster. CJ Abrams, that was considered to be too soon, and I think we all saw CJ Abrams was not ready for the big leagues when he started on the opening day roster. What was it? 2 years ago?
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and look what happened. Now he's gone. That's what you don't want to see happen here. And AJ Preller's MO is to rush guys through the system and get them up as fast as possible before they're fully cooked in the minor leagues and ready to go. And besides Fernando Tatis Jr., who is a literal unicorn of a prospect, athlete, player, no position player that AJ Preller has brought up through his system to play in the major leagues has stuck with the Padres. They're all gone. They're all gone. And there's some pitchers that have, been here and out of the door as well. Some relievers, but again, position players that play every day get potentially 500 at bats. Nobody has done that through the system besides Fernando Tatis Jr. And Tatis is a one of one. So, yeah, you think we're all like really, really kind of worried that this thing might not work out? Yeah, we are. It's a cautious, optimistic feeling on my end because I want Jackson Merrill to work out badly because I think AJ Preller needs that desperately. Have at least one guy freaking hit, and it's if it doesn't work, then there's this team is in for a world of problems.
But to your point, Darnay, it's like just go sign. I mean, this is the way I look at it. Provide yourself cover. Go sign Michael Taylor. Go sign Tommy Pham. Go sign whomever. I don't even have the list in front of me. I don't even know. I'm not saying that this player leads you to the promised land, but give your player a chance to develop. And then if you call him up in May and he doesn't hit, say, well, we developed him. And we relied on stopgaps, and we weren't performing, and we thought he had a nice year in AAA, and he had earned it, and he had played more left field. You bring him up right away, and it doesn't work out. The criticism isn't going to be pointed at Merill. It's going to be pointed directly at AJ Preller.
Yeah, and I think it's so interesting how you mentioned AJ Preller. Like he seemed obviously with the Juan Soto deal, but other trades through the years, like he's almost capable of anything. Like if they have a need, there's a way of addressing it. I mean, even in 2022, now you're coming off the lockout, and so everything was compressed. They couldn't do anything from December until March. But Luke Voigt, Sean Manaea, and Taylor Rogers, like within like 2 weeks to even going up to opening day when they traded for Taylor Rogers, it's like they had all these needs and they addressed it, and he found a way, and he's always seemed to find a way. And I get it with the free agency market. It's been slow for everybody. It's been kind of a grind. Now things are moving. Maybe Cody Bellinger, like a guy like Eddie Rosario. I don't know. Maybe some of those names start to come off the books. But it seemed for a little while like the free agency options are a little bit cooked. And the more likely avenue is through a trade. And we know AJ Preller, whether the trade works out or not, he is as creative as they come and manages to find deals one way or another. He's done that consistently. It's just interesting to me that hasn't happened. And there haven't even really been whispers of anything. It's been unusual, and it's just seems still inevitable that something's going to happen that kind of changes the course, changes the look of this roster, and maybe puts a little bit less pressure on them to kind of go the youth route.
Well, you got, 16 days before you leave for Korea. 16.
And again, I would say that if Korea, it's not figured out, it's not figured out. Like if you could figure out between now and March 28th, I feel like that's when you need to figure it out. But although it would be weird to have Merill on the March 20th roster than not March 28th, obviously.
Because then guess what? His clock has been started.
Well, you've started his major league service time. Yeah. I don't even know if you can. I don't even know if you can do that. You're gonna demote it. That's not happening. There's no way he makes the major league roster March 20th and isn't with the team March 28th.
I just have this feeling, guys, that there's not going to be another move made. I really
none at all.
I really believe that. And if it's a move, it's like for a minor league guy. It's for whatever. I think that this team is going into this year. They're not telling us, but their actions are speaking louder than their words that this feels like a transition developmental year. And
you still have to field a full roster though.
Well, that's the thing, Darnay. I don't think that they're going to spend money on stopgaps when they are so capped with money? Like, why spend money on something when you just have it there?
You
It
have
might
in your
not be
system. You could
might
just
not be
promote on your
good.
40 men, right? Like,
Yeah, it might not be
Merrill's not
good,
on.
but
Well, I agree. Whatever route they go, it's going to be, on a budget. So I'm not expecting them to sign somebody that's going to, require a bunch of money or trade for somebody who's making $14 million a year. But again, he's found budget options before at a variety of positions.
Do you think they're honest? Like, if you gave AJ Preller truth serum and said, "Do you think you can win the World Series this year?" What do you think he would say?
I would think it's so easy to point at the Diamondbacks right now.
Really?
I just think, and it's been that way with baseball. We've seen teams that have been juggernauts, obviously the Dodgers. It's just like they probably feel like if you can get to the postseason, anything can happen. And is this team good enough to get to the postseason? Yeah, probably. If things break their way, if guys stay healthy, if the stars look like the stars, yeah, absolutely. And once you're there, a series of 5-7 game series, pitchers get hot, anything can happen. So I'd say, yeah, whether or not you believe, I'm not trying to make you believe that, but I could see that for sure.
All right. Well,
So when's the
tickets are on
parade?
sale.
When's the parade?
Exactly. All right. Darnay, how do our listeners watch back this show on NBC7's Roku channel?
It is on, yes, the Roku channel. Go to your live TV Roku listings, 9 o'clock. Find the NBC San Diego channel. Turn that on at 9 o'clock, really between like 9, 10, 11. It airs a couple times, and you can find us. If you miss us on the radio, you can find us then.
Darnay, always good to see you. Appreciate the calm, considering the panic right now with Padres spring training. Padres are 1-4, Jim. 1-4. 1-4 in the Cactus League.
Jim lives for this.
It is unbelievable.
Hey, my hot take about Joe Musgrove. You guys just said screw it. No, nobody cares.
I'm going to text the group about that in a moment. All right. On the other side, the Aztecs get the win they need this past weekend. We'll look at for San Diego State what's on the line between now and Selection Sunday. Plus, still ahead, we need to tell you about some great giveaways, including San Diego State basketball tickets for tomorrow night. Stay with us on Jon and Jim. All right, on the other side, we'll look ahead for San Diego State. 20 days until Selection Sunday. Plus, we have Aztec tickets to give away for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena next.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Aztecs beat up Fresno State over the weekend, 73-41. Is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760 and Padres Cactus League action today. They lost to the Guardians 7-4. Joe Musgrove had another rough outing. Went 1 2/3 inning, giving up 4 earned runs, but Michael King pitched really well, pitched 2 scoreless innings there. Padres will play tomorrow versus the Royals in Peoria. Now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs in store only. Offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
All right, let's do this. Between now and 4 p.m., a pair of tickets for tomorrow night, Viejas Arena, San Diego State, San Jose State. Pregame at 7, tip-off at 8. Tickets and info, go Aztecs.com. We have 2 pairs of tickets to give away. One of them we're going to give away this hour between now and 4 p.m. Listen to what we also have today. So 2 pairs of tickets. Be listening this hour for a chance to win one of those pairs. We have tickets, Jim, to see Santana with the Counting Crows. I love the Counting Crows. Not that I don't like Santana. Have you even heard of the Counting Crows?
I have, John.
Okay.
And Santana.
Name a Counting Crow song.
I don't know.
Mr. Jones?
Sure. You could tell me.
Long December?
You should know this. We did Counting Crows tickets like last year.
Memory's not great there, Brent. I don't know. Give me one.
I just did. Mr. Jones.
Give me another one.
Long December.
Oh, yeah.
Sullivan Street.
Of course.
I mean, it's a good band. It's a very good band. Anyway, we have a pair of tickets to see Santana with the Counting Crows, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 30th. We'll give those away during Trainwreck Radio. Tickets and info at livenation.com. What do you have?
Nothing.
Okay, so we'll get back to the Padres in a moment. I want to acknowledge what you said in the update. The San Diego State win over Fresno State. Now, albeit Fresno State has had injuries, they lost their top 2 centers. They have a good wing or guard that's been out with a broken bone. What San Diego State, though, did, like, even though Fresno State's undermanned and shorthanded, take nothing away from what the Aztecs did Saturday night. I mean, they led 12-0. They led 40-10. They scored more points, Jim, in the first half than Fresno State scored in the game.
Yeah.
42 in the first half. Fresno State scored 41 for the game. So you look around, New Mexico lost at home to Air Force on Saturday. Nothing you can take for granted. Like, this was the win they needed to get, and they got it convincingly Saturday night.
Decent game from the Aztecs.
Yeah, decent. Just a 32-point win.
It was nice. It was a good first half. That was what you like you said, wanted to see from this team just an absolute beatdown on the road, just a bludgeoning by the Aztecs. And with the loss, the Air Force win over New Mexico, the loss there by New Mexico,
right?
That pushes New Mexico down in the standings. And I think, honestly, that loss by New Mexico, I don't know if it hurt, how would you describe it? Because now there's really no shot for them to win the regular season title, New Mexico. And then the final game of the year versus Utah State, where if you're an Aztecs fan, you're going to be rooting for New Mexico. I mean, you're not playing for much there if you're New Mexico, right?
No, they're playing
Maybe
for a lot,
seeding.
like getting into the
Well,
they are on
that's
on life support to get to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off because for the second straight year, they're collapsing.
Yeah.
From a Mountain West perspective, it's probably not good that New Mexico lost at home, but from a San Diego State perspective,
so it makes it so New Mexico is in more of a like desperate mode when
they're in desperation.
Take on Utah State.
But from San Diego State's perspective, you've heard me preach this a lot. Get a top 5 seed in the Mountain West tournament. Yeah, I want to win the regular season like everyone does. But worst case, you can't fall outside the top 5. It's now much more likely that you finish in the top 5 because New Mexico just took on a loss they just can't take on. You can't lose to Air Force at home as a 20-point favorite. And that's what they did.
And the Mountain West is crazy because UNLV is 9-5.
Yep. Aztecs still have to go there.
Except, they have an outside shot of winning the regular season championship.
Yeah, absolutely.
And pretty much like no shot to make the NCAA tournament unless they win the Mountain West Conference tournament.
Absolutely
in Las
right.
Vegas,
Yeah.
Which is just shows the depth of this conference.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. I think, listen, if you would have asked me Friday how many teams are going to get into the NCAA tournament from the Mountain West, I could have made a case for 6. I'm not going to make that case right now. I think ultimately 5 would be a great number. I think there's still a scenario where it's only 4. I think the most likely is 5. I think a possibility is 6. But from a San Diego State perspective, what do they need to do to lock down a 4 seed in the NCAA tournament or better? That's the question for me. Top 4 seeds are protected. Make it a geographic advantage. Aztecs, of course, made a Final Four as a 5 seed a year ago. But can they lock down a number 4 seed? They've got San Jose State tomorrow night. They go to Vegas. They come home for Boise State. Then there's a Mountain West tournament. Do they need to go perfect to get a 4 seed?
Yes.
I don't think they do. Brett, you think they do, Brett?
I think
because
they do. I think
because
they
of
have to win
power
out.
conferences around them.
I think we're not going to get the benefit of the doubt as if we were in the Big Ten or the ACC, they'd be like, oh, well, they've lost X amount of games, but look at the conference they play in. Yes, the Mountain West is getting a lot of praise this year, but when it comes down to it, they're going to favor an ACC team or somebody else. So we can't leave anything up to chance. So I think they have to win out.
What do you think, Jim? Does San Diego State need to win out to be a 4 seed or better in the NCAA tournament?
Anything could happen, but I think if you want to firmly
lock it down,
lock that thing down, 4 seed or better, you win out, you win your conference tournament. You also somehow get the conference regular season title as well. If Utah State trips up, then you hold your own destiny. Well, you take on Boise State, who's in front of you, and you have those things fall your way, and that to me firmly solidifies and stamps at no worse a 4 seed. But if you trip up here and say you don't win the regular season title, all right, and say you don't win the Mountain West Conference tournament title, then it's kind of hard for me to say that they can be a 4 seed.
Yeah, I don't know with we'll actually talk about in the wrap, best case, worst case. I mean, are they probably fluctuating between a 3 seed best case if you win everything and get some help?
Well, yeah, you need some help.
You get some help, maybe you're a 3 seed. Worst case, is it a 6? Could it still be lower than a 6 seed if things didn't go well down the stretch? That's why every game's important. That's why, and you can't look past anyone. Look no further than Air Force against New Mexico. Yeah, it's San Jose State tomorrow night, but Air Force just did it at the pit.
I know.
So that's why you can't look past anyone. By the way, Ken Pom, who will join us tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ken
nice.
Pomeroy. He has his updated Ken Pom National Player of the Year rankings at his website. It's all analytics based.
Yeah.
Jaden Ledee is 3rd in his National Player of the Year race. 3rd, higher than Kyle Filipowski, who got hurt in the court storming. More on that coming up at the 4 o'clock hour. I mean, amazingly 3rd. Now, is he going to win it? Probably not. Zach Edey is like a 30-10 guy right now with Purdue, and he's 7-4.
And Purdue's going to be a 1 seed.
Yeah, but I mean, it's an amazing year. He could still maybe be a first-team All-American or potentially a second-team All-American, which is incredible.
Well, the last player to be a All-American, Malachi Flynn.
Correct.
With the Aztecs, and that team was 30-2, and we all know what happened with that year.
What happened?
I don't want to talk about it.
Man, I hated that.
Because you'll be upset. And
Yeah, I am.
we can't have
I'm
that.
still upset.
But to have, how many All-Americans have there been in San Diego State history?
I don't have an answer to that. There's been a few.
Like first team All-Americans.
A few.
So
no, first team, I don't know. I don't know about first team. Malachi was the second team.
Oh, it was okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Brent's
just
gonna look that up.
all Americans in general.
Right. Is Michael Cage, was he a first or second or third team All-American?
I think so.
I don't know if Kawhi was an All-American.
I don't know if Kawhi was.
I
mean, he'll win the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year, and there's been a bunch of Aztecs that have won that award. I'm just saying. Okay, so
you got 3 All-Americans, Brent, in the history of the program. Who are they?
3 first, yeah. Michael Cage, Malachi Flynn, and Kawhi.
Wow.
So they were
okay.
first
So
team.
it's depending on publication, probably. I don't know if
okay.
that's all AP,
but still,
yeah,
that's
amazing.
The accomplishment. If Jaden Ledee, I don't think he's going to win National Player of the Year.
No, I agree.
But the accomplishment of an Aztec player making an All-American, like that is
it's amazing,
huge for the program. Just coming off of a national championship run, you have an All-American on your team the following year, and who knows what this team can accomplish in the NCAA tournament as well. Like, we're looking at the golden era of Aztec basketball,
no doubt,
for sure,
no doubt.
And just the amount of players that have the accomplishments that they have received, it's really good.
All right. Speaking of really good, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend on the other side. Plus, we'll give away a pair of tickets for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena, the second to last home game for the Aztecs this season against San Jose State tomorrow at 8. We'll give away tickets on the other side.
What's a picket?
Pickets aren't available.
They're fences.
Correct.
Oh,
but we will give away tickets on the other side. It's Jon and Jim. All right, is that good? The best and worst of the sports weekend. Plus, we're giving away Aztec basketball tickets for tomorrow night. Next. Jim Anywhere on the free iHeartRadio app. Take us with you wherever you go on the free iHeartRadio app. Eric Haslam, Metrics guy, kind of a bracketologist. He'll join us at 5 p.m. Ken Pomeroy joins us tomorrow at 4 p.m. Ken Pom. We're reacting to Padres spring training, obviously.
Are you going to be able to sleep tonight?
Honestly, yes. Because we've had him on the last couple of years. So, yeah, I'll be able to sleep.
You were so excited. You were told me the other day about, dude, guess who I emailed? I was like,
I did text Jim.
I don't know. And he like pauses and he goes, Ken
Pomeroy.
Yeah. Yeah, very exciting, John. Cannot wait for that. Yay.
All right, Joe Musgrove from 2018 through 2022. We're giving away Aztec tickets, by the way, in 5 minutes. So be listening for that. Joe Musgrove, 2018 through 2022, 6 ERA in spring training.
Okay.
In the regular season, 3.61.
Good.
Now, this year, 43.2. On that pace, he'd have like a 25 in the regular season. So is there any reason? Now, he said, my breaking stuff. Here's a quote from Musgrove in Kevin's article. I'm a little disappointed in the effectiveness of my stuff. That's not me saying that. That's Joe Musgrove saying that. And he's been working on this sweeping slider or sweepier slider, quote unquote. So again, we could say no concern. But Joe Musgrove saying my stuff isn't as effective as I'd like it to be with me pitching in 3 weeks in Korea.
Again, that my hot take of maybe he's changing up his pitches because his breaking stuff last year is what caused his injury. I don't know. I'm not Joe. I'm not a doctor. I just stupid hot take. But at the same time, he is coming off an injury.
Mm-hmm.
He is coming into a season where he needs to be really good. He needs to do what he did last year, but for like 33 starts throughout the entire year.
Yeah.
Not 17. And this team, if he does that, if he only has 17 starts this year, this team is not making the postseason. Just not. They would need a lot more help, and there'd be needed to be a lot more moves made to withstand a loss of like Joe Musgrove for some time. So you're going to need Joe to kind of pick out of the gate really well. That is why there's a little concern, and it's why I'm at like a 2.5 out of 10. Is because he's coming off an injury. If he wasn't coming off an injury and he had 34 starts last year and he had a 3.07 ERA and he was like 12-7 or whatever, and he had 183 innings, this would mean absolutely nothing to me. I'd be like, who cares? But it's the injury last year coming off of that. And now he's changing up his breaking stuff. You're like, can we please not go through this again? Like, can we please just have like a year where you're really good?
Plus, he didn't pitch. He hasn't pitched since July. His last outing in the major leagues last year was July 28th. All right, we'll give away Aztec tickets in about 5 minutes. Right now, let's get to this.
All right, so I'll start with the Aztecs, John.
Okay.
Jalen we just talked about him. over the weekend. He had 22 and 11. You want to hear his last 5 games, John, including that one?
I would love to.
So 22 and 11 versus Fresno State, 23 and 6 versus Utah State, 23 points, 4 steals, 3 rebounds against New Mexico, 27 and 6 versus Colorado State, and the overtime loss to Nevada on the road, 20 and 7. Is that good?
It is good!
I mean, he hasn't been held to single digits all season.
Yeah.
He had a career high 3 blocks, by the way, on Saturday night as well. He had no turnovers. He had multiple assists. He played 26 minutes. He did that in 26 minutes.
It's wild.
He's one. I mean, you don't need me to tell you. If you watch, you know he's one of the best players in college basketball. Staying with San Diego State, I mentioned this earlier. The Aztecs in the first half in Fresno scored 42 points. The Bulldogs in the entire game scored 41 points, meaning San Diego State would not have had to score in the second half to win. That would have been an interesting, thing to try. Like, I don't think you want to do that. But anyway, they outscored Fresno State for the game in one half in a 73-41 win. Is that good?
It is good!
Great performance on the road. Great performance.
Joe Musgrove, a 43 ERA in spring. Is that good?
43.2.
That's no good. Are you kidding me?
I think, again, if Joe is like frustrated, like really frustrated about this, then we might have some major concern. There's a little concern there coming off an injury, little concern changing up some of his breaking pitches. But the season will be here very quickly. And once they're in Korea, and whether he's pitching on opening day, the first game, or the second game, he's going to have to be going up against one of the best lineups in all of baseball, maybe one of the best lineups ever. And he's got to be good. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's going to have an ERA better than that in the regular season for the Padres to be good this year.
Yeah.
Jackson Merrill yesterday, the talk of baseball in Mesa, in front of that sellout crowd, all those Cubs fans, 2 for 2 with a walk, a double that bounded off the left field wall, 2 RBIs. I think he's now 2 for 6 this spring. Is that good?
It is good!
It was very good. I forget who he hit yesterday, but the guy pitched 100 innings last year in the big leagues, had a 3 ERA.
I mean, I don't know why he's not the starting left fielder right now. He's probably in the pole position for Rookie of the Year. And I mean, if you want to go as big as
Rookie of the Year.
MVP, I mean, can we talk about MVP here soon, John?
No, not yet. What else do you have?
And finally, Hyun Kim's having a great start to spring training. Absolutely tearing the cover off the baseball, even though he's 2 for 4. Or sorry,
no, I think he's 3 for 4.
3 for 4 in spring training, hitting 750.
That's very good.
Jacob Marcy, though, he's in 500 in spring. Those are my 2. Is that good?
It is good!
I mean, again, with all those at bats,
all those at bats, 4 at bats, 3 at bats.
I mean, if they do that over 700 plate appearances,
could you imagine if Hyun Kim hit 750 this
it
year?
would be a huge year.
You think he'll get a big time contract?
Oh, be massive.
Like, what's the record now for batting average in a season? It was 400.
That's right.
Now
right.
it's 750.
The highest the last 50 years was 394. Now guy hit 750. Just incredible.
It'd be amazing.
Creates a new beer. And then finally, we'll talk more about this. We'll talk more about this in the 4 o'clock hour. But Wake Forest did an upset win over Duke in Winston-Salem at Lawrence Joel Coliseum. Stormed the court. The Wake Forest fans, after the big win that might put Wake Forest on the right side of the bubble. Now, Kyle Filipowski for Duke got hurt in this. Melee is probably a strong word, but court storming. So let's just look at it like this, Brent. Is the Wake Forest win over Duke good? We'll talk more about it.
I have thoughts on the
Oh, do you? Are they hot takes?
I don't know.
Brent has thoughts.
I just have thoughts. They're not hot takes. They're not
Okay.
like, ooh, Joe's changing up his slider because
That was a hot take.
because it caused his arm injury last year. So now he wants to do it because if he doesn't do it, it's going to cause more injury.
Well, Jay Billis has a very hot take. Did you hear it?
Oh, I did hear it.
Oh, well, you're going to hear it. Jon and Jim listeners coming up in the 4 o'clock hour.
Oh, that's a tease.
It really is. All right, we promise you Aztec tickets for tomorrow night. We have multiple pairs to give away. One right now. Caller 7, you're going. Tomorrow night, San Diego State, San Jose State. Caller 7, 877-767-4760. Pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760 at 7 p.m. Tip-off inside Viejas Arena at 8 p.m. Second to last home game of the year for the Aztecs. Tickets and info at goaztecs.com. Get there, be loud. We're heading towards the end of this 2023-24 season. 877-767-4760. All right, the wrap is on the other side. Eric Haslam will talk bracketology with us in the 5 o'clock hour. We have more Aztec tickets to give away between now and 6 p.m. as well. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Aztecs beat up on Fresno State this weekend. Next up for the Aztecs, they take on San Jose State tomorrow night at Viejas Arena, 8 p.m. tip-off, 7 p.m. pregame right here on San Diego Sports 760. Cactus League play today. Padres Guardians. Padres lost 7-4. Joe Musgrove, an inning and 2/3, giving up 4 earned runs. Michael King made his spring training debut, pitched 2 scoreless innings for the Padres. Ethan Salas had a double in the game. Next up for the Padres, what are you going to say?
Salas went 2 for 2.
Oh, he did? Bring him up.
Campusano who?
Exactly. Tomorrow, Padres take on the Kansas City Royals and expected Yu Darvish to make his spring training debut against former Padre Michael Wacha. 12 p.m. first pitch there. Now during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs. In-store only, offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim. We still have Aztec tickets for tomorrow night to give away. Be listening for that. We have Counting Crows tickets. Now, the Counting Crows are with Santana. So we have those tickets to give away. We'll do that here in this 4 o'clock hour. We have Eric Haslam Metrics. We are 20 days out from Selection Sunday. He will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Ethan Salas, as I just mentioned, 2 for 2 today, Jim.
Dude,
2 for 2, like 2 at bats.
Bring him.
He got
up.
hits in
Bring
both
him
of them.
up now.
Between him and Hassan Kim, we're gonna have like a team batting average of 650 this year.
Could be very good.
The most amazing offensive season that you'll ever see in your entire life in baseball history.
It's been good
right now.
You're going to hear from Jay Billis what he would do to get rid of court stormings. It's a weird term. Court stormings in college hoops. Jay Billis, the former Duke commentator with ESPN, he says get rid of it, and here's how to get rid of it. We'll play that for you coming up later this hour. But right now, let's get to this.
It's a nice segue, John. Should the NCAA ban court stormings in college basketball?
Let me hear the hot take.
When has it been a problem up to now?
Well, do you not remember the leading scorer in women's basketball history?
Dude,
Caitlin Clark was taken out during a court storming.
Yeah, it really affected her because she's nailing
score the 1,000
40-foot bombs. Yeah.
Okay.
When has it been a problem since right now?
There's been a lot, to your point.
But
right?
when
in the
is
history of college basketball,
when has there been this outcry
Well,
for
who
it?
did it happen against? Duke.
Okay.
Duke.
Yeah.
Kyle Filipowski.
Fine.
Who's, a great player.
Here's how you change it. You wait till the teams are off the court, and then you storm the court.
Wait 25 seconds or something.
Wait 20 seconds.
To a locker room.
I've
heard that proposed.
I mean, it's a very easy fix.
Just, okay, wait. I would say, I don't think you need to ban them. I think that's probably an overcorrection. I think it's one of the unique things about college basketball, is it not?
And the reason why they don't storm the court in the NBA or the pros is because they're the pros, and you get arrested if you go on the field.
And they don't matter like this. Like college basketball, if you're Wake Forest and you beat Duke, and maybe you're on the right side of the bubble, it's a big deal.
Yeah. To
beat Duke, your in-state rival.
I mean, if you're in football, if you're Auburn and you beat Alabama, guess what?
Storming the
you're
field.
Storming the field.
Yeah.
So my question is, like, when has it been this big outcry problem?
Saturday.
Since now.
Saturday it was.
If this was like an every year thing where like a player always gets injured, or like this outcry every single year for stop storming the courts, and it's always a story when a team beats a big
top five
team and the fans storm the court. If it was an outcry every single year, okay. But I can't remember like it being this huge big story every time a fan base storms the court.
Because it hasn't been.
Exactly.
Yeah, in basketball, it hasn't been a story until Caitlin Clark and now the Duke player.
Yeah.
And, it's different in football, because in football, when that happens, that happened in Wisconsin the one year we beat Michigan and people died because they got
stampede or whatever.
They got pinned up against the fence, and then they just pushed it up and it collapsed over.
And crazy, but yet they still rushed the field.
I think,
you know what I mean? Like that didn't.
I think storming the court
Well, that's why
And-
they don't serve alcohol at Camp Randall
Right.
anymore because of that.
And rushing the field or storming the field, whatever you want to call it. I think it's a unique thing to college athletics
It is.
that to ban it because Caitlin Clark kind of threw. I mean, look, Caitlin Clark
They
and,
both did.
and the Duke guy. I'm sorry, protect yourself. What are you doing here?
And they say Kyle Filipowski is, he basically avoided injury in this situation. Yeah, which is good. Obviously, nobody wants to see anyone get hurt. I mean, of course not. But to ban them all for forever because of an incident when you've had hundreds of incidents, but it's unique to the sport. I mean, I think maybe they could do some research on what is appropriate to allow a tradition to potentially continue.
I think the students could use a little common sense too on when they storm the court.
Sure.
If Georgia Tech beats number 17 Vanderbilt, that's no need to storm the court.
Yeah.
Exactly. If you beat the number 1 team in the country or you beat some rival you haven't beaten in like 30 years, then that's justified. But just because you beat Wake Forest on a random Tuesday, that's not an excuse to storm
San Diego
the court.
State's not storming the court when they beat ranked teams. They just beat one, Utah State. I mean,
we win
expected
tomorrow. We're
to
not
win
going
at
to
home.
storm the court.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, like if you're Duke, North Carolina, Kansas, when do you storm the
Comes to the
court?
territory.
Never.
But it comes to the territory. Wait, listen, you go to Duke, you know what happens? You lose on the road. Every single time you lose on the road, court storming.
No, I meant
at home.
At home.
No, I know, but I'm saying like if you're Duke, like this is par for the course.
They have standards. I know.
But when Duke gets beat on the road, which is like a lot.
Yeah, on the road.
All right, next question.
What do you guys think of the Clippers' new uniforms and logo that they unveiled today for next season?
Couple things.
Okay.
Logo, trash. Uniforms, awesome.
Okay.
I think the logo, it just looks really weird. I know it's like a kind of homage to the San Diego Clippers because of the boat on there, right?
It says the silhouette of an oncoming ship, a nod to the team's origins in the San Diego harbor.
So
that was cool.
It's cool. I just think the logo's not good at all, but I think the jerseys are fantastic.
I really love the naval print. I don't even know. I'm not describing it properly, and I apologize for it. But the
red jerseys, like the alternate ones.
What is it like? A nautical, like the nautical imagery.
Okay.
On almost the piping of the sides of the jersey and shorts. I think it's spectacular.
It's the Jordan brand. It looks like the Jordan
brand. It's like
brand,
a red jersey. I think that's really, really well done. The logo. Yeah, maybe you could.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I think maybe they could have done better. But the fact that they're paying homage to San Diego, I think is kind of cool. What do you got, Brian?
I felt like that meme of they're like, oh, what's the difference? It's the same picture. They're the same jerseys, only you wrote Clippers in cursive instead of in big, bold print.
Well, welcome to sports merchandising. Right? They're always trying to re-merchandise.
At least Fanatics didn't make these jerseys.
Oh, you're not kidding.
Yeah, no, but it's one of those things where like I woke up this morning, I was like, oh, cool. The Clippers got new uniform and a new logo. And I'm expecting like something just totally new. And it's just like, it's the same thing. It's in cursive this time.
It would have been cool if they just had like a pair of scissors. Next
or
question.
Like an actual like paper clip.
Like Clippy from Microsoft Word.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. He ain't doing nothing.
You know how
the
college, like a lot of college uniforms, just like the big Michigan State logo is the only thing on the front of the jersey. What if it was just Clippy? Huge Clippy on the front of the uniform. Alternate?
It's almost as good as Footy McFootface.
Yeah.
True. Nothing is as good as Footy McFootface.
True.
Next question.
What's the best case and the worst case scenario for the Aztecs on Selection Sunday?
Best case is if they somehow find themselves at like a 3 seed.
Okay.
But that means they'd have to win out, I think. Worst case, I mean, say you lose at worst 2 more games this year. At worst.
I mean, that's okay. You still got to go to Vegas, where they've been really good. UNLV, I'm talking about.
So if they run the table in the regular season here, then one game in the tournament, right? So you lose one game. What I'm saying is like you maybe
they lose another.
If you slip up in the regular season,
yeah, which definitely can. I'm saying it can happen because you're going to UNLV.
I know you can't lose 2 in the tournament because it's a single elimination.
That'd be hard.
That'd be very hard. But if you happen to slip up here one more time in the regular season, and then you don't win the conference tournament, I would say like you're a 5 seed.
I mean, worst case is if you still lose a couple of games in the regular season. I mean, maybe there's a negative path to like a 6. Nobody wants to see that, but I think they're well positioned to secure either a 4 or a 5. And again, a year ago as a 5, it worked out swimmingly. Would you prefer to be a 4? Yes. I think it makes it more likely. They're in either Salt Lake or Spokane, those original sites. in the NCAA tournament. I think if you're 5, maybe it's like last year and you're in Orlando, Florida, or you're in Orlando's not a site this year, but you get my point. You're across the country. So, I think most likely is a 4 or 5 seed. I think the more extreme angles are the 3 on the positive and a 6 on the negative. Next question.
Who's been the biggest bright spot so far for the Padres in spring training?
That's a good question.
Well,
Obviously not Joe Musgrove.
How many games they played? 4?
5.
5. They're 1-4.
Right. Certainly isn't Mike Schilt. Yeah,
he's on the hot seat.
I'm completely kidding.
It's Jackson Merrill to start.
Okay.
Jackson Merrill. Just because he's doing everything you want to see out of a young prospect. I don't know if it's like warrants an opening day roster spot, but again, they have no other options. So you kind of are thinking to yourself, whatever he's doing will probably warrant an opening day roster spot because he got nothing else.
Okay, so you say Merill?
Yeah.
Now, I didn't see a second of this game today.
He did not. He wasn't playing today.
No, he wasn't. But hear me out. I'm going to say Ethan Salas, who's an identical 2 for 6 this spring, like Merill. He had 2 hits today, doubled, and then singled to right in the 9th. So, it's encouraging to see young players perform. Michael King, a couple of scoreless innings today. Ethan Salas, a couple of hits today. Jackson Merrill, 2 hits and a walk yesterday. Again, it doesn't guarantee anything, but it is encouraging to see it. So I guess my takeaway so far from the spring, Jim, is that at least some of these young players are taking advantage of some of these early opportunities. Tatis, I don't really concern myself with it. If he hits 150 or if he hits 290 this spring, I'm still expecting a home run opening night because it's Fernando Tatis Jr. Manny Machado, because of his health, you want to make sure that he gets back on track, obviously, from a health perspective.
Right.
But I want to see the young players. I want to see the young players have good springs. And for 5 games, and by the way, they're only going to play like 20.
Yeah.
So, for
16 days they leave.
Yeah. So, for the first 5 days with another couple of weeks to go, I think the young players have performed well.
We haven't talked about Yuki Matsui yet.
Which is back spasms, x-rays negative.
Day to day.
Aren't we all?
Trust me, we're all day to day.
Yeah, right.
But his spring training debut, struck out the side, looked really good. And, you had then Robert Suarez go out there and not look so great.
Right.
He's a guy that kind of is going to be the linchpin to that entire bullpen, I feel like, is getting a closer to that, grabs that role and becomes this team's 9th inning guy. Because it's always difficult to go matchup route. Always difficult. Because then roles aren't truly like defined, and you have to you're always wondering am I going to pitch tonight if it's the 9th inning and there's a 1-run lead or a 2-run lead, or is it not tonight because of the matchup issue?
Right.
So that's in this bullpen too. I think that this bullpen could be really good. Is all hinging on back end. With a closer like Suarez stepping up to that role, or Matsui. And I don't think Matsui is going to get the brunt of the work early because that's what they said. They don't want to put him in that situation right away. It's probably going to be Robert Suarez. And Robert Suarez had a bad season last year, and he's going to have to have a good season this year.
This is what I know, that it never goes to plan. So what I mean by that is you can't fully overreact to, for example, someone in this bullpen. Is there a chance that they don't have good numbers or there's some type of injury that impacts their performance? Yeah, of course there is. So I don't want to overreact to anything, but the things you're thinking about, Musgrove last pitch July 28th, a couple of shaky starts, putting it very mildly, what I'm saying, in these first 2 outings. Suarez, an off year, again, didn't pitch well in his Cactus League debut. Darvish, by the way, pushed back a few days, will pitch tomorrow in Peoria against the Royals. I want to see him pitch well. I don't want to say, hey, Musgrove struggled in a couple of outings. And now Darvish, who didn't pitch last September because of health, he didn't pitch well against the Royals in Peoria. So I guess my point is this. I don't want to overreact to any one player's performance or even minor tweaks or injuries. It happens. You got dozens of guys in camp. Things are inevitable. But all of a sudden, if one player becomes 2-3, like if you told me Musgrove and Darvish both didn't pitch well to start here, I know what we'd be saying. I know what I'm going to be saying if that's the case. Now, is it an overreaction? It probably is. But I'm thinking about Darvish tomorrow. By the way, I saw this in Kevin's article. The first opportunity of the spring on the ground for Bogaerts was a backhand flip to Hyun Kim that he threw over his head today. Again, who cares? Something to monitor.
Interesting.
It's just things like that.
Get it out of the system now, boys.
Exactly.
Get it out of the system
Because
now.
if it happens in Korea, it'll be like, it's like under a magnifying glass. If Bogarts can't convert a force out that then leads to 2-run scoring for the Dodgers, you'll never hear the end of it.
Isn't that crazy how spring trainings, you could have guys that have really bad numbers, and then once the season starts, they're like really good.
It is and it isn't. It's like you can flip a
yeah.
switch. If you're a 10-year major leaguer like Xander Bogaerts or Manny Machado,
You know how to treat certain situations in spring, and
right.
you know when to turn it on, and you know when to go out there and work on things and not have any results matter.
Exactly. The only difference this year, you know what, the WBC years have made it weird because we're like, hey, where's Darvish? And it was impactful. So the WBC years can be weird. And then this year, I think it's a little different because you're leaving for Korea on March 13th. So you want to see everything now. You're not like, oh, it's such a long spring. Who even cares? No, you care because they leave for Korea in a couple of weeks.
I'm all for a shorter spring training.
Yeah, me too.
Sometimes, and by sometimes I mean almost all the time, you get into the middle half of spring and you're like,
so long.
Can we just get to the regular season already?
Mm-hmm.
Like the first 2 or 3 weeks of spring training is always interesting because there's the first time we see guys in New Jerseys or their debuts or young players. But
the last 2
weeks are just like dragging towards the regular season.
Right.
What I would worry about if they shorten spring training would be the same thing that, in my opinion, happened with the NFL when they shortened preseason. The first 3 to 4 weeks of the regular season was so sloppy because they lost out on prep time. They lost out on actual game time with, game activities with pads against other players, to where when they had the full preseason, yes, a lot of the bigger name guys wouldn't play, but the lower ones would. And it showed right away when they cut down the preseason that the first 2 weeks is just like, wow, you can totally tell that this team sat everybody in the preseason because they look so rusty.
I would just say the only reason it matters in baseball is just to build up starting pitching. That's what matters. I think you have 5 weeks to go from 1 inning to 3 innings to 4. You know what I mean? Where I feel like position players, by and large, don't need
getting your bat speed. And everything back.
Don't need near that time. But I think pitchers do.
I'm a big proponent of shortening all spring training and preseasons. Like
NBA seems to have it right. There's no time at all.
Well, good. It's because one, you don't want to have an extra preseason game and some guy gets hurt, or an extra 2 weeks of spring training and it's just
true too.
The guy get hurt. It doesn't get the season going, have a couple weeks, boom, we're ready to go. These guys are professional athletes. Do they really need 2 full months to get ready for a season?
We should mention because the Padres
now, yes.
Besides
Blake Snell. We should mention because the Padres are probably going to see him. Yoshinobu Yamamoto is going to make his spring debut for the Dodgers Wednesday. I would assume he lines up to pitch against the Padres because it's in Korea, and the fact that he's obviously, I would just assume that, again, he's not Korean, but coming over from Asia and overseas, I would think Yamamoto is one of their top 2 starters. And then also, Ohtani has not appeared this spring. He will appear tomorrow. And again, you're going to assume he's DHing for the Dodgers when they take on the Padres March 20th.
So what? Joe Yamamoto game 1, or
I would love
Darvish Yamamoto game 1.
Darvish Yamamoto would be great theater.
It really would be.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
And then game 2, Joe and Glasnow.
And that's pretty good too.
I think we talked about that. Those are the dream matchups if you're baseball.
Yeah.
Because if you're putting this thing on at 3 a.m. in the freaking morning on the West Coast, then what are we doing?
I'm waving.
Oh,
I'm just waving to my friend.
No call.
I'm just waving.
Oh, waving. Hello.
You don't ever just put your hand above your head?
No, I never
Say
do.
Hello?
Never do.
All right.
Those are dream matchups.
Inside baseball, I hate it when people do that.
When they wave?
Yes.
Or do the wave?
When they wave.
Why?
It's just okay.
No, because in our situation, because I think that somebody's calling on the phone.
I know that's what I was doing, but then the person hung up. That's why I wasn't just doing it for my health.
Oh, you're like, hi, hello.
Yeah, I wasn't just saying hi to everyone.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't even know what the point is here, or what we've.
You
even
went
been
into your
talking
Dodger
about.
love and tirade about Yamamoto and.
Oh yes, by
and
saying that
Ohtani.
he's going to make his spring training debut and pitch against the Padres in Korea.
Well, I mean, we're talking about the bullpen. You're like, hold everything.
We weren't talking about the
starting
bullpen
tomorrow for the Dodgers.
We weren't talking about the bullpen.
We weren't.
No,
What were we talking about?
I don't exactly. So it was more preferred for the
Well,
listener.
it was something Padres related.
Yeah, we have the time to cover the Padres. We've
Oh,
covered
that's
all
right.
the angles.
Every
Is there an
angle.
angle we're missing
Let me think.
that you'd like to discuss?
Let me think.
What have we missed? What have we missed? Cactus League standings? Peoria hot dog compared to the hot dog in Camelback?
Peoria hot dog's pretty good. Camelback hot dog sucks. It's a Dodger dog.
Okay, wait, a couple of things here that I wanted to get to. By the way, we have Aztec tickets to give away. We'll do it between now and 6 p.m. This is for tomorrow night. Aztec tickets to give away for tomorrow night. We have an Aztec Rewind coming up at 5:30. Eric Haslam Metrics will join us at 5 p.m. We are 20 days away from Selection Sunday. We're just about 2 weeks away from the start of the Mountain West Tournament. The Aztecs have 3 games remaining. 3 in the regular season. San Jose State tomorrow night. Then a week off. They'll go to Vegas to take on UNLV. And then senior night is a Friday night against Boise State. And then they go to Vegas again for the Mountain West Tournament. So that's it. I mean, 20 days from Selection Sunday. Is Selection Sunday one of those must-watch events for anyone in the room? Because will you even put it on, Jim?
Yeah, I will.
You'll put it on, or you just watch it on Twitter?
I will, depending on if I'm doing anything. Like, I'm not gonna tell Aaron, hey, we can't do anything during Selection Sunday because I have to be sitting on the couch watching this in the living room. If we go out
That's
somewhere,
what I would do.
I know you would.
Right.
But for me, it's like, if we're out, then I'll make sure there's a TV around, or if there's no TV, then yeah, on my phone.
And I was just told by Mike Usher that we will be airing a Westwood One special that day of the thing. We believe it's going to start at 3 p.m.
Yes,
we
3
can't
p.m.
confirm that yet, but we are going to have like a
I love that.
3-hour Selection Sunday show from Westwood One.
Honestly, when I think back to being a college basketball fan as a kid, I think about Selection Sunday. Like, Selection Sunday is one of those kind of unique sporting days that has nothing to do with games, but has everything to do with like setting the table for the games ahead. Like, I'm trying to put Selection Sunday in comparison to something else in American sports. Right?
It's just a one-of-one.
Maybe for soccer fans, like a World Cup draw.
Yeah, probably.
Which is bigger, obviously, worldwide than Selection Sunday. But to me, it's one of those special days, especially if your team is one of those teams that's typically finding its way into the field.
I think it's more special if you are, if you're like one of the teams that's on the bubble, to where,
True.
They always put the camera, in the locker room to sit there and get the reaction when they find out that they're in.
Sure.
That's good, but I don't know. I don't really get too excited nowadays. I just kind of wait for it just to be over because, it used to be they would do the whole bracket and then they would talk afterwards. And now it's like, okay, we're going to do a region, then we're going to talk for 10 minutes. Then we're going to do another region, then we're going to talk for 10 minutes. And it just kind of takes forever. And I don't know if you feel the same way because you're Big Ten. We always have the Big Ten championship game on that Sunday, and it means absolutely nothing because they've already pretty much picked out the bracket. So even if your team wins or loses, it has no effect on the bracket.
That is a good point. All right. So again, Aztec game tomorrow night at 8 p.m. We're going to give away tickets between now and 6 p.m. Eric Haslam Metrics will join us coming up at 5 p.m. Should the NCAA ban court stormings? You'll hear from one of the top ESPN analysts, Jay Billis, on this very topic on the other side. Plus, we have tickets to give away for Santana and Counting Crows this hour as well. It's Jon and Jim. All right, hey guys, it's Schaefer. We were mentioning that game on the Mesa tomorrow. Maybe you're heading over there, 8 o'clock start. Make sure to pick up something beforehand over at Windmill Farms. I'm going to be over there for lunch tomorrow. Windmill Farms, the college area's natural grocer, the quick and easy lunch spot in San Diego County. Sneaky, sneaky good. 8th sandwich is free. Just head in, pick up a sandwich from the deli, get a sandwich card on your way in because your 8th sandwich is going to be free. My next sandwich, in fact, because I've had 7 over the last 7 weeks, is going to be free. So pick up a sandwich card. Your 8th sandwich is free. They got an amazing selection. So many different deli options available. They've got great ingredients, high quality, low prices. They really pride themselves on that. So it's a great lunch spot. It's a great spot after work, but just for your grocery needs, whatever you need. Organic farm fresh produce and meats. Amazing craft beer. You have to see their selection. Centrally located right by Del Cerro Boulevard, right off Del Cerro Boulevard across the freeway from Montezuma Mesa. You don't even have to live or work near Del Cerro because you can find Windmill Farms on Instacart, have your groceries delivered directly to your doorstep. Trevor and his family have been serving San Diegans for 20 plus years. Family owned market right here in San Diego. They have weekly specials on Instagram, also at windmillfarmsmarket.com. But it's a great lunch spot. It's the spot for your grocery needs. Shop local, shop at Windmill Farms. Like, does Jim not realize that he's paid every 2 weeks by iHeartMedia? His job is not hard. Who disagrees with that? He has to do updates 6 times. They're not exactly Marconian level. I don't even know what that means. Right? They're not like Grammy award winning. And he has to react. Like, his hot take today was Joe Musgrove is developing a new pitch because he got hurt last year in a slider. Who's this update brought to you by, Brian? Aztecs tomorrow night, 8 p.m. By the way, our pregame coverage will begin at 7 p.m. San Diego State, San Jose State. We have tickets to give away for that game between now and 6 p.m. Tickets are available at goaztecs.com. Padres lost today in Cactus League action, 7-4. You have one job. We're talking about it right now. Where have you been going? I give you a break because
it's 4:30. Oh,
yeah, exactly. Right. Updates every 30 minutes.
Well, I didn't know it was gonna be right at the dot. Oh,
well, no,
my
it's
bad.
4:31 in 4 seconds.
Oh, my bad.
That's 4:31.
Oh, we're the update. Oh, this update's brought to you by
Wendy's,
Staple Stores, and Wendy's. Aztecs, they play tomorrow. San Jose State, 8 p.m., 7 p.m. tip-off. You can listen, or 7 p.m. pregame. You can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. And the Padres, they lost again today. Joe Musgrove gave up 4 runs in an inning in 2/3. They play the Kansas City Royals tomorrow, 12:10. First pitch in Peoria. Now during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even in-store only off ends 3-2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat. John's going to murder me.
It's all good. You should probably go back and listen or watch the audio of what I said, by the way.
What did you say?
I'm like, listen, you have one job. It's not hard. 6 times you need to provide an update. They're not exactly award winning.
They're not?
You do the Joe Musgrove hot take off the top of the show. You have to do 6 updates every 30 minutes. But I get it if things are happening, which is fair.
Dude, I don't even want to talk about it.
I know. So I just realized that actually in my head. Okay, so later this hour, your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Santana, Counting Crows in their Oneness tour. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 30th. Tickets and info at livenation.com. Next hour, San Diego State, San Jose State will give away tickets for tomorrow night. Jay Billis.
Yes.
Really well-regarded ESPN college basketball analyst for the better part of maybe 30 years at this point, 25, right? Does some of the biggest games in college basketball for ESPN platforms. Well, he went to Duke. I knew he would comment on the Kyle Filipowski, court storm situation, which was a situation. I mean, it's obviously something that's going to be discussed. So I think he might have gone a little strong here. You be the judge. Jay Billis. Now, this is with Stephen A. Smith, and Jay Billis is getting the headlines. This is Jay Billis earlier today.
The truth is, nothing's going to change now. We're going to talk about it. It's going to go away, and nothing's going to change. And if they wanted to stop it, they could stop it tomorrow. The administrators will tell you that security experts tell them that it's not a good idea to try to stop the court storming, that could cause more problems than it would solve. But you don't have to stop the court storming. One time, all you have to do is once they're on the court, don't let them off. Just say you're all detained and give them all citations or arrest them if you want to. And then court stormings will stop the next day. There's no accountability for this. The fans feel like it's an entitlement. And the universities like it, and the truth is we like it.
All right, Jay.
Maybe a little bit of an overreach.
Maybe we want to calm down.
Mass detainment of court stormers?
Where was Jay Billis saying this 10 years ago?
Right, or the previous court storming.
Or 5 years ago.
Well, how many court stormings have there been this year? Every team's been upset. Like, every good team is losing on the road this year.
How many court stormings are every year?
I mean, a lot.
So,
dozens.
So my point is, if there's going to be this like massive outcry now from guys like Jay Billis and others, where was this just last year? Where was this 5 years ago? And maybe I missed these hot takes or these outcries for stopping a court storming, but where were these in the past? I can't remember.
One, Jay only cares this time because it happened to a Duke player.
Sure.
If that would have happened to an NC State player or a Tar Heel, Jay would not give a crap. He's always been biased towards Duke. That's like his thing. Two, I don't think it's Now I forgot what I was going to say because I want to make Bill rant.
I like it.
It's good.
You sound like us.
Almost there.
Get to the second part. This is called a
Yeah.
radio tease.
Radio tease.
Here's the thing. Obviously, nobody wants to see any player get hurt. Okay. And Kyle Filipowski, thankfully, from what we're learning today, is he's a little bit sore. That's the quote.
Oh,
Okay. He avoided major injury. Nobody wants to see anyone get hurt. But this is a little bit like, remember, like, okay, let's say you go to school and one of your classmates is late to school and now everyone's going to come in 10 minutes early. Like, hold on. I wasn't late to school. One person was late to school. We've had dozens of court stormings this year. We've had hundreds over the years. And this doesn't happen with regularity. Maybe there's some precautions that can be put in place. But the idea of arresting and detaining people over something like this is probably a bit too far.
Okay, I remembered.
Okay.
They said that, oh, well, security experts say, well, it's better just to let them go on the court.
Right.
Okay, you think that it's going to be easy just to keep them all on the court?
And arrest them all one by one.
Well, I was a 23-year-old college kid that, might be somewhat inebriated at the game. If the cop's like, hey, you over there by the free throw line, stop. I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to leave. And I think they're all going to do that. There's no way they can keep, hundreds of students just on the court. They don't have enough security to keep them off of it. How are they going to keep them on it?
It's one of those things that, again, I think is part of the like pageantry of collegiate sports. And we're kind of ripping some of that away. And, now you have conferences that are, from one coast to the other. Like, can't we have some nice things? Court stormings have been enjoyed by fans of sports, of college sports, for a long period of time. Do we really need to take it away? Because maybe there is a little bit of a risk associated with it. But some parts of life is there's some risk. I mean, again, I'm kind of with, I think you said earlier, Jim, can we wait 20 or 30 seconds? I'm fine with that. Get the visiting team off the floor.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. Everybody get off the floor.
Yeah, that's fine.
Or have a system in place where, like, I don't know, just make it so you have to wait like 20 seconds and then you storm the court.
Yeah, it takes a half minute,
Or if you're a player of that team, the fans are going to storm the court,
Get off the floor.
Get off the floor.
Yeah, maybe
don't like walk through a stampede of fans.
I mean, they were kind of on the floor quick on Saturday.
Sure.
They're like 2 seconds on the clock.
It's not like Filipowski was like really hustling off the floor either. He was pouting because they lost.
Sure.
He was taking his time to get off the floor. So,
yeah, again, it's one of those things that you knew it. The second it happened, it involved
called
Duke.
it during
We
the
talked
Aztec
about it.
game.
Yeah, you knew it was going to lead to outcry, and that's exactly what happened. Now, what's on the other side of it? I guess we're going to find out. Again, San Diego State, we got tickets for you. We'll give those away tomorrow night, Viejas Arena. Pregame starts at 7, tip-off at 8. Tickets and info at goaztecs.com. Coming up later this hour, your chance to see Santana and Counting Crows in their Oneness Tour, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 30th. Tickets and info at livenation.com. Jim, did you see this name?
What name?
Brandon Staley.
Oh, dude, I hate you.
Brandon Staley, according to Pro Football Talk, will interview with the San Francisco 49ers, National Football Conference champions a year ago. He will interview for the defensive coordinator position.
Disaster.
And he's not the only interview. It was this week. But the headline's Brandon Staley.
It's Brandon Staley,
right?
That would be a disaster.
Just on his face, right? Nick Sorensen is the other to interview.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah.
Where's
household name?
Where's Bill Belichick on that list?
He's not. I told you he's not going to. That was your other hot take of the offseason.
Where's
is he going to be on the list?
Where's I don't know, dude.
Are you elevating Niners defensive passing game specialist Nick Sorensen to this job?
If you're Kyle Shanahan and you fire Steve Wilkes, their defensive coordinator,
you better have a plan.
You better have somebody locked and loaded, ready to go. You can't just. I feel like this late in the game,
right? It's almost. It's a good point. Yeah,
you can't just fire somebody without having somebody like in mind already.
It's a good point.
And if it is Brandon Staley, the initial reaction is, "Are you kidding me?" Now, could he be a good defensive coordinator?
He was at the Rams, right?
He was the team with the Rams had the number 1 overall defense in like every category.
He can't go for it on fourth down as coordinator.
True.
Maybe as a head coach, just he wasn't fully focused on the defense as much, and he just is not a good guy at multitasking and taking care of an entire team rather than just a group of guys.
Nick Sorensen, before he joined the Niners 2 years ago, was the Jags special teams coordinator.
Oh, great.
That's interesting. And Brandon Staley as a head coach in the NFL, again, no direct correlation, was under 500.
Yeah, he sucked.
Under 500.
I gave Brandon Staley so much crap for his time with the Chargers.
I know. What are you going to say if they hire him as the Niners defensive coordinator?
I don't know.
Going to become a Chargers fan?
No,
I'm kidding.
no, I won't.
I'm kidding.
But it's going to be an issue that I think will not make Niner fans happy.
Well, as long as he doesn't instantly become awesome once he joins the Niners.
Well, if he becomes awesome, then it's the greatest hire in the history of the
exactly.
sport. But
All right, Eric Haslam-Metrics will join us coming up at 5 p.m. On the other side, your chance to win tickets to see Santana with the Counting Crows in their Oneness Tour, August 30th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Call right now if you want a chance to win those tickets. That is a great prize, a pair of free tickets to see Santana with Counting Crows. Are you serious? I'll go to that. 877-767-4760. First two callers will be contestants for trivia. We call it Trainwreck Radio. You need to call right now. First two callers will be contestants, Santana and Counting Crows. 877-767-4760. Again, August 30th. One more time, the number to call. Call right now, 877-767-4760. That's next. All right, Trainwreck Radio is next. Eric Haslam will talk some bracketology with us coming up at 5 p.m. And also ahead in the 5 o'clock hour, your chance to win San Diego State basketball tickets for tomorrow night. Don't go anywhere. No relation to Adonis Haslam, as Brent was asking at the break. Will join us at 5 p.m. He's a bracketologist, Jim. I don't have we had a bracketologist on the show? I forget.
What's that? What's a bracketologist?
This show is Jon and Jim and bracketologist.
No, it's John and bracketologist.
That's right, Jon and
During
bracketologist. I forgot.
during those segments. So you can actually whatever you need to do, 5 o'clock is a good time to do it. Okay.
There's a lot going on right now.
A lot going on. A lot going on. All right. Eric Haslam will join us next hour. We have Aztec tickets to give away for tomorrow night. We have an Aztec rewind for you back to spring training. Padres struggle. Well, not if the Padres struggle. Joe Musgrove struggled. Led 4 runs in the first inning.
They lost again, John.
I know.
This team is 1-4 in Cactus League play. This is an abomination of a start to the season.
What do I say? You can't win the Cactus League pennant in February, but you sure can lose it. And
Well,
this is playing
they're
out.
doing a great job of losing it, John.
I know. I need to see Cactus League.
How's my fake outrage doing?
What if I hope someone like cuts that up and like Jim is crazy?
Well,
He's freaking out right now.
somebody in the chat on YouTube thought we were like, they're like, the headline of your video sucks. This is
Did they really?
This is spring training. Why should we be concerned about Joe Musgrove? Like, dude, look at the at the thumbnail that I put up there on YouTube, and
Says we're not worried.
in parentheses it says we're not worried.
What if I told you? Hear me out, guys. The Dodgers are 4-0 in the Cactus League. The Padres are 1-4. So the Dodgers have a game in hand. So the Padres are 3.5 games back in the Cactus League. They also have the worst run differential in the entire Cactus League.
This is a nightmare start that we all were hoping to avoid.
Right. I guess it was the highest run differential in the Cactus League.
I mean,
The
how
Dodgers.
can this team learn how to win if they continue to lose?
I have one more stat for you. If you include Grapefruit League.
Ooh, yeah.
Okay. So every team in baseball,
Worst record in the league. Worst run differential.
No, the Pirates are 0-3, but the worst run differential in Major League Baseball. But they did lose like 18. What was it? 14-1 in the opener.
That 14-1 game really. I said at the time,
It's hard to dig out of that.
that run differential there is going to be tough to dig out of if you lose a game 14-1.
Now, Padres are not in last place in the Cactus. Giants are 0-2.
Oh, thank God.
Let's get to it.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, 1 lifeline. Today's contestants, we have Matt and we have Gabe. Matt, you called in first, so you have your choice of Jim or John. Who do you want to go with?
I'll say Jim.
Interesting. So Brent said Jim first and Matt goes with Jim. We're doing a little bit of a study.
All right.
Okay, so Matt and Jim.
Gabe and John. All right.
Cool.
Cool. Brent, what is today's question of the day?
All right, guys, there have been 6 tight ends in the NFL history that have caught 70 or more career touchdowns. Today's question, name any of these 6 tight ends in NFL history with 70 or more career receiving touchdowns.
All right. I like it.
Good question.
Good question. Gabe, you're up first. What is your first guess? You do have a lifeline, which is John, if you choose to use it.
Oh, okay. I'll go Antonio Gates.
Antonio Gates,
on the
most in the
list.
history of the league, right?
Not a Hall of Famer.
Not yet.
Yet.
He will
Not
absolutely.
first
be.
team.
Yeah.
Matt, you're up next. What's your first guess? You have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Let me say Gronk.
Gronk. On the
Gronk.
list.
Wow,
Good guess.
he was good.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
Gabe, you're up next. What's your second
Can't
guess?
kick field goals, though.
And you have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm gonna go Gonzalez.
Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez on the list.
Yeah.
Matt, you're up next. You're up to your second guess. And you do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Let me get Mr. Swift. Travis Kelce.
Taylor
Travis
Swift.
Kelce.
Is Taylor on the list? She is.
On the list.
And so is
yes.
Travis.
Yeah, both of them on the list. They have
They've
a-
combined for a top 6
she had-
total.
She had a really good postseason run.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Gabe, to go 3 for 3 here. What's your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Witten.
Jason
Jason
Witten.
Witten. Ooh,
There's
that's
only
such a-
one tight end left
Such a good guess.
with 70 plus career receiving touchdowns.
Oh, no. Matt,
One.
to send this to overtime, what's your final guess? You do have a lifeline if you choose to use it.
Jason Witten.
No,
No,
he was just
already-
said.
Already said.
Yep. Got anyone else?
Um,
You do have Mr. NFL Encyclopedia on your team, Jim Russell.
Jimmy Graham.
Jimmy Graham.
Man, that's a good
Such
guess.
a
He's
good
not gonna have
guess.
70, is he? He is on the list.
Oh!
Wow.
I was not going to say Jimmy
Okay,
Graham.
now Brent is quite. I mean, I don't know. You think? I mean,
was gonna
that's a
say-
good.
I'm going to say Kellen Winslow
Yeah.
Jr.
Agreed. Kellen Winslow.
or
Yeah.
Kellen Winslow. Sorry, not Jimmy
Okay.
Graham.
Okay. So that's everything on the list, right?
Wow.
Wow.
So now we're going to overtime. Brent, rules of overtime and the question.
Okay.
All right, how overtime works is I'm going to ask you guys a question. When I'm done asking the question, you guys are going to yell out John or Jim, whoever you had for your partner today. Do not yell out the answer. Yell out whoever you had for a partner today. Whoever yells out the name of their partner first, you are going to either win the game by getting the question right, or you're going to lose the game by getting the question wrong. Do you guys understand?
Copy.
Was that a yes on both you?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Today's overtime question. Who do the Aztecs play tomorrow?
John.
I heard John.
Oh, Gabe.
Gabe, what do you got?
San Jose.
That is correct for the win, Gabe. Wow, you've got the
Wow.
tickets. How about that? A little bit of a curveball because there's an NFL question. Then we go to San Jose State, and Gabe is going to
Good job.
Santana and Counting Crows. This is going to be the Oneness Tour, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, August 30th. Tickets and info at livenation.com. That's a very good concert. Seriously, I would love to go to that concert. Santana. Is it Counting Crows or the Counting Crows? It's being discussed right now on YouTube. I think it's the Counting Crows. That's how I refer to them. Jim, I don't know if you realize that. All
I
right.
didn't.
So we got all the tight ends. There's nobody else on the
There
list.
is no "the" in it. It's just Counting Crows.
Just Counting Crows. So who was the next bet? Do you have a list of NFL tight ends? Like who's next on the list? Like seventh most touchdown catch.
it's a 49er.
Seventh most is the Niner.
It's either Brent Jones or
Nope.
Dwight Clark.
You're wrong on both.
Wow.
Oh, Vernon Davis?
guesses. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a good thing you didn't use the lifeline. Okay, on the other side, Eric Haslam, Haslam Metrics, is going to join the show. We'll talk about Selection Sunday inside of 3 weeks out, plus an Aztec rewind, plus back to the Padres falling to 1-4 in Cactus League play, and Joe Musgrove struggling again. We're not worried. I don't think you should be either, but we'll get into it on the other side. Plus Aztec tickets for tomorrow night to give away. Stay with us on Jon and Jim.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Aztecs coming off their big win over Fresno State over the weekend. We'll take on San Jose State tomorrow night, 8 p.m. tip-off, 7 p.m. pregame. Viejas Arena will be where the action is happening. Of course, you can listen to that game right here on San Diego Sports 760. Cactus League play today. Padres lost to the Guardians. Joe Musgrove pitched an inning and 2/3, giving up 4 earned runs. Michael King made his Padres debut today, pitching 2 scoreless innings there. Next up, the Padres will take on the Royals back in Peoria. Yu Darvish expected to make his spring training debut tomorrow. Now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs in store only. Offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? Be listening if you're an Aztec fan, because something from our conversation here right now with Eric Haslam, we're going to ask you. And then we're going to give away San Diego State tickets for tomorrow night at Viejas Arena against San Jose State. So be listening for your chance to win those tickets. We'll give them away between now and let's say about 5:15 or 5:20. We have Eric Haslam, Haslam Metrics, crunches the numbers, does a rating system as it relates to college hoops. He's been with us before, and he's back with us. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. We are 20 days out from Selection Sunday. Eric, appreciate you hopping on in San Diego. Just for our listeners, describe how, there's so many people that have systems and rankings and ratings. How does your system kind of compile the data compared to others?
Yeah, so what my stuff does for the most part is really bases things based on scoring and shooting. So you're looking at different scoring situations. You're looking at where these teams shoot from. You look at how they perform from all these spots on the court. Are they getting to the free throw line very often? Are they shooting a lot of threes? Are they really focused on getting close to the rim? And then when I talk about situations, you're talking about how often are they accumulating like second chance opportunities, quick points off of steals. So I kind of break everything down into this matrix, this shooting or scoring matrix behind the scenes. And then based on these transitive comparisons, I form the rating systems I have. So if I have a Michigan playing in Illinois and a Michigan State playing in Illinois, now I have a transitive comparison between Michigan and Michigan State using Illinois as that constant. And that's kind of what I do. You form tens of thousands of these these comparisons throughout the season. And as time goes along, you just kind of build this spider web of comparisons. And that is kind of, where the basis behind what you see on my website every day.
For you, what's the ceiling in your ranking system, for the Aztecs here, because we're the flagship of San Diego State, but what's their ceiling for you in your ranking system?
Well, this year they're a little bit lower. I think I had them going into the NCAA tournament last year. I think they were 13th. For me and my performance ratings right now, they're 26th. Now that's not a measure. It's not a reward system. People sometimes get that a little bit confused, and they're like, they look at wins and losses. Well, with a performance system, you can have bad wins and you can have good losses. So, I think a lot of people, if you look at my record quality ranking for San Diego State, they're going to be a little bit higher. But when you're looking at performance rankings, you're going to be looking at what's going to be, the idea of being behind performance rankings is what is the spread going to be going forward? What are we going to be looking for? What's the expectation going to be in future games? My thought is for San Diego State right now, they are slowly climbing. I don't know if they're going to be able to get up to 13 before the NCAA tournament comes around. But the fact that they're, knocking on the door of the top 25 or potentially going to be in like the low 20s or the high teens coming into the postseason is going to be probably pretty similar to where they were last year.
Yeah, I remember when we had you on last year. That's right. You had San Diego State bumped up, maybe I'm making it up, 10, 15 spots beyond where others did. And then, of course, in the end, you never know, obviously, with the one and done format. But, of course, San Diego State made its incredible run. Regarding the Mountain West in general, Eric Haslam Metrics with us right now on Jon and Jim. Obviously, it's been a bit of a darling this year when you look at the way it's been covered nationally, discussions about 4 or 5, 6 teams into the NCAA tournament. What's still reasonable here for this league?
Well, I think they're going to get, it's going to be close with the 6 right now. I think you're definitely getting 5 right now. Well, the one that's kind of a big question mark for me, and I'm not even sure it's a question mark, is New Mexico. And the reason I am a little bit more bearish on New Mexico than a lot of people are. I think I have them in my first 4 out right now. If you look at the bracket matrix right now, which is at bracketmatrix.com, you can see the consensus picks of all these different bracketologists. I think the last time they updated was Saturday morning, and they were at the top of the 9 line. Now that was before the awful loss, the quad 4 loss they had at home to Air Force. So that's going to change things a little bit. But if you look at what they've got going for them, I think there's a possibility of seeing 6 teams from the Mountain West making the tournament. That's going to be a little bit of a different. I wonder if they're going to get the 6th, though. My feeling is that the past performance of the Mountain West in the past few years is not necessarily working in their favor. Now, if you look at San Diego State, obviously they were 5-1 last year. But if you look at anyone else except for that San Diego State team last year who went 5-1 in the tournament, everyone else in the Mountain West over the last 4 tournaments is 0-11. I don't think that works in the Mountain West's favor. So if there's going to be a team that's near the cut line, that might leave the Mountain West with 5. But that being said, I think last year the Mountain West had 4. I think in 2022 the Mountain West had 4. If they get 5 or 6 this year, that's going to be the most that I think the conference has ever had.
Yeah, exactly. I think they had 5 one other time, but it was before some reconfiguration, right? I think BYU and Utah were in the league when they got 5. They've never had 6. Eric Haslam is with us right now, Haslam Metrics. We had someone on our text line just asking about like what it would take for San Diego State to be a top 4 seed and then potentially be in the West region. But I guess I'll ask it like this. I mean, for our listeners, the difference in a 4 and a 5 is pretty significant, right? Because a lot of it has to do with being like a protected seed. So that can be significant, can it?
Oh yeah, and I think that they're. I mean, if you look at the bracket matrix, they're sitting on the 4 line already. So a lot of people are saying they could even potentially go higher. And I think that their past performance. I kind of mentioned this earlier this week about Florida Atlantic. I said, would Florida Atlantic be considered as highly as they are this season? Now, granted, they've struggled a little bit, but they're sitting right around that 7, 8, 9 line. I wonder if they would be considered as high if they had not made that run to the Final Four last year. I think that works in San Diego State's benefit. I think if San Diego State has not had the success that they've shown last year, all of a sudden maybe they're looking at more of a 5, a 6, or a 7 seed. Now we're talking 3, 4, 5 because they've proven that they can do it. And if you look at what they have ahead of them, it's all very winnable games. You got San Jose State coming up. They're number 274 for me. You're at number 63 UNLV, and then you finish off with Boise State, number 34. So at this point, a lot of people are already saying that San Diego State is sitting in that 4 line. I think I have them at the top of the 5 line. So I think their ceiling, as far as their seeding goes, feels like a 3 to me. That's my opinion.
Do you feel as if in the years that you've done this, that the committee weighs the conference tournaments, less heavily than the regular season? Like, is it of significance? San Diego State's always in Mountain West Championship games. They've been in 6 consecutive. They've won a handful of those as well. Is that of particular value what you're doing those final few days during the conference tournament?
No, in my opinion, no. And I'm probably of the opinion it really, really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
In fact, I almost throw so much stuff out after the Tuesday before Selection Sunday. I really don't think it matters, with the exception of a couple things. One, obviously the auto qualifier. If you win your tournament, you're getting in, so it obviously matters there. In case of other matchups, sometimes I think it can, when the committee what they do is scrub seed lines, and they look at kind of matchups. So you may have say like a Florida on the same seed line as a Kentucky, and maybe you're being separated by, just one spot. They may look at the tiebreaker that happened in that SEC tournament and say, oh, okay, Kentucky wins that game, we're going to put them higher. That is the only impact I think that has after that Tuesday before Selection Sunday. I saw that a few years ago. I forgot which team it was. It was in the Big 12 or something like that. Maybe it was the SEC. But it was a team that had gone out there and all of a sudden they had beaten like a Kentucky, beat a Florida, got to the final. And then all of a sudden they lost in the final to like an Alabama. And people were saying, well, based on those 2 games, they're getting in. And they did not get in. And so I think the same thing this year. I look at a team like Kansas State out of the Big 12. If Kansas State all of a sudden in the quarters beats Texas and the semis beats Kansas and then loses to Houston in the final, I think they find themselves on the wrong side of the bubble.
That's interesting. Eric has the metrics. Just 1 or 2 more, Eric, before we let you go. In general, there's so much conversation about the NCAA potentially expanding the NCAA tournament. Some say it's an inevitability. Where do you weigh in on that? I mean, is this the perfect number? Is there any room for growth? 68 to 72. What's too much expansion? Where do you weigh in on this?
Yeah, I'm digging in pretty deep. I'm of the opinion that with the NCAA tournament, it's such a perfect thing right now. Don't mess with something that isn't broken.
Yeah.
That's my opinion with it right now. They went to 68. I'm okay with the 68. The one change that I would make if I had it my way was all the auto qualifiers, in my opinion, should make the field of 64. And I say that for a couple of reasons. It makes for good TV for the play-in games because now you're dealing with nothing but at-large teams. Would rather watch a Hallmark Christmas movie than watch a 16 versus a 16 on a Tuesday night. It's just not my kind of thing.
Right.
So I would rather keep it that way and keep the 68, but then have the play-in games of all at-large teams. On top of that, what that does is that pushes all those 16 seeds, all of them, into the field, which means that those teams at the top of the list, the 1 seeds and the 2 seeds and the 3 seeds, have easier first-round matchups, which I think they deserve because they did so well during the regular season.
That's well said. Okay, before you go, court stormings.
Mm-hmm.
I know your metrics don't have anything to do with them. I mean, obviously, there's been a couple of the Caitlin Clark, followed up by Kyle Filipowski, who's one of the top handful of players in college basketball. He happens to play for Duke as well, so there's going to be even more attention. Is this going to be the way of the past or not, based on what's happened a few times this year?
No, I don't think it's going to be the way of the past. I think people would have to come up with a definite solution of how to fix that problem, and nobody really knows how to fix that problem. As they said in the movie Men in Black, a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. And that's part of the problem. When you get a group of 1,000 kids together who are excited about their team getting a big win, there isn't anything that's going to stand in the way of them getting on that court. Now, there are certain things that each team can do. I'm not a big fan of this whole, we're going to find these teams, we're going to arrest these people on the court. I'm not a believer in that. Yeah. But I think there's got to be some sort of contingency plans in place for all these different schools where at least they're watching and they're saying, okay, we're about to beat a big team. We're in the last minute, get somebody on the microphone or something like that. Maybe the PA guy saying, hey, just a reminder, we have extra security. Please allow 10 to 15 seconds for the teams to get off the field or get off the court and then let them run on. That would be my opinion of how to solve that problem. But, right now it's so polarized, it's so black and white. There's people out there, Jay Billis today, talking about, detain and arrest people. I think it's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion.
We said the same thing.
But at the same time, I think you got to probably come up with some kind of a plan, but that's going to be done on a team-by-team basis.
Eric Haslam Metrics, great stuff. We're looking forward to, obviously, conference tournaments and Selection Sunday for San Diego State and for the Mountain West Conference as well. Eric, keep up the great work. We appreciate you joining us here in San Diego.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
All right, you as well. All right, 877-767-4760. I said I was going to have a question based on that interview, but I don't. Caller 7, you've got 2 free tickets for the Aztecs, the Spartans. 877-767-4760. Caller 7, you have 2 free tickets tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Tickets are available right now. Limited tickets. Go Aztecs.com. Call right now. Caller 7, 877-767-4760.
You feel good?
I thought you were really good there. You
I
really dug deep. I like where you yanged and you when you threw that one curveball at him, he was like, wow.
Yeah, he's
like nobody's ever asked me that portion of my metric.
Yeah, he was kind of
caught off guard.
There's Jordan's flu game, and then
there's that
interview.
question that you asked.
Question I asked.
I can't wait to hear what you have for Ken Pomeroy tomorrow at 4 p.m.
Wait, I'm going to be up all night thinking of questions.
I might not
Ken
have you
Pom.
ask him anything.
I might just leave the room. Just like give you like your space.
No,
and
you
your
can say, or you can maybe
like
knit or sew.
I don't know.
Do whatever you do.
Probably not going to do that, John.
Joe Musgrove today. This is called a segue.
It is
coming off an outing in which he did not record an out. Now there wasn't serious concern based on that one. I mean, we touched on it. It was against the Dodgers. It was the opener. Okay, didn't record an out. Well, today he's going to record an out, right? Well, he did. He recorded 5 outs, but he left the game in the first inning with 2 outs after allowing 4 runs.
And then came back in the second inning.
Came back and worked his scoreless, I think, clean inning. I don't think he allowed a base running in the second inning. 11 pitches?
I think so.
So, again, it's been shaky, to put it mildly. 43.20 ERA through 2 spring starts. Yu Darvish will get the ball tomorrow for his spring debut for the Padres. We're not concerned. Obviously, it's February. But even Joe Musgrove told Kevin Acee today he's a bit disappointed with the way he's pitched here in his first 2 outings.
And it's this whole thing goes to if Joe had 31 starts last year, had 184 innings pitched, and
Yep.
had a 3.07 ERA to finish the season, none of this would mean anything. And truthfully, it probably still doesn't mean anything. But it would mean less of nothing if that is what the season he was coming off of it was. Like, remember last spring training? He was coming off a pretty similar year to what I just stated there.
180 innings, all-star.
Yeah. And there was no worries until he dropped the kettlebell on his foot.
That
and
was
then
a
you're
problem.
like, oh, we have an issue here. But going into that spring training, I think if Joe had a bad spring, I don't remember his starts, but I don't think anybody was like, I'm a little worried about Joe, even though he came off of like an all-star season. No. But coming off of an injury, knowing that he has to be the 2022 version of himself rather than the, only 17 starts Joe Musgrove of 2023. That is why you're like, it's not what I like to see to start spring training. But again, I'm not going to really worry about it too much now. But you need to be really good this year, Joe.
It's simple as that. I mean, yeah, if this is the Padres of a couple of years ago, and maybe there's more depth somewhere and you can overcome it, or even like going into 2023.
Yeah.
Like because you're coming off a year in which you're in the National League Championship Series. But I mean, you really need him. And he's not the only one you really need. Like we said earlier, not everyone's going to be healthy. There's someone in a bullpen along the way that's going to have a setback or not pitch well. Of course, it's baseball. That's how it works. But the Musgroves and the Darvishes and the Kings, to go along with the Machados and the Tatises and the Bogarts, have to basically, with a consensus, perform. All of them have to perform for the San Diego Padres in 2024. And I say that, I mean, of those six, what I just said, the three hitters, those three pitchers, could you have five of them perform and someone be pedestrian or below that? Yeah, probably. But you need five of six. Like, don't you agree? Like, if Machado and Tatis and Bogarts and Musgrove and Darvish were all really good and King wasn't, okay, probably get by in that scenario. But there's not much wiggle room with those players.
No wiggle room. It's like every day that goes by without another move to their rotation, knowing that you are going to be banking on Michael King going like 180 innings this year. You're going to be banking on Vasquez or Brito stepping into that rotation. You're going to be banking on like a Pedro Avila or Matt Waldron to make quality spot starts here and there. And you're also banking on Joe and Darvish to be the top end rotation pieces of this rotation.
Right.
If one of those things doesn't happen, like say you Darvish does a really bad season, or Michael King does not have the season that he expects to have, and we hope he has, then the margin for your error is, I mean, it's so thin. You're going to need somebody to step up and have like a breakout type of season in this rotation because you don't have the amount of quality arms that you had last year. And even last year, we know, like you said, there's always an injury. There's always a bad season. There's always something that inevitably will go wrong.
That's how sports work, especially baseball.
Not just a walk in the park. Oh, Michael King, you Darvish, and Joe
everyone goes
Musgrove
180 innings.
all make 33 starts this year. And oh, by the way, Johnny Brito or Vasquez, they go out there and they make 20 plus starts each, and they're both really good.
Right.
Like that's the dream scenario. But we know it's not going to happen.
You know the saying, under promise, over deliver.
Oh, I know
Right.
that. I know that saying very well.
Okay.
That's the show.
Michael King, that's the show. Yeah, exactly. Michael King doesn't believe in it because he's quoted by Kevin Acee this weekend as saying this. I keep telling Ruben whenever he says like 150 to 180, talking about innings. Nope, 180 to 200. He threw 104 innings. That would be last year. That's an extreme abnormality. Like the Padres' first order of business is to have King not just healthy in 2024, but also 2025. They have him under control. It's really rare. Now, he's had some success in the minors where he's thrown a lot of innings, not 180, but I think 150 plus maybe. But it's rare, Jim, for someone to get anywhere close to doubling their innings. It's rare to go up 50% in inning total from 1 to 150, for example. But 100 to 200 is basically unheard of today in baseball. Michael King to Kevin Acee in the UT saying, I threw 104 last year. I want to go 180 plus in 2024. Is that realistic? 180 plus.
I love the confidence from him, but is it realistic? I don't know. I mean, to go that big of a jump, an 80 plus increase, and you're a starter now.
That's 6 innings, 30 times.
What did Seth Lugo do last year? Let's look at this real quick.
He wasn't throwing 180 innings.
No, I know he wasn't.
Yeah.
But I just want to see the jump he made from last year in the previous seasons when he was relieving with the Mets.
65 to 146, which is massive. So that's a doubling.
Okay, so it's we literally saw it last year.
Yep. No, it's a fair point. I mean, 65. Now again, he threw 146. He didn't touch 180. And then you had, Michael Wacha last year threw 134 innings, and that was, a really successful year. 180 is tough now. There's not a lot of guys getting it even close to it. Snell last year just touched 180, and he won Cy Young. So when you say 180 to 2, man, and you'd love to see it.
And in today's game, you get to I feel like the 200 inning mark
is almost like impossible now.
Was like the benchmark for pitchers 15, 20 years ago. Now the 200 inning mark feels like if you hit that, I mean, not only you like perceived as one of the workhorse best pitchers in the league, I would bet to go, if we looked back at, old seasons in the early 2000s and the 90s, if someone pitched 200 innings, they might rank like 15th or 16th in baseball. Now, if you pitch 200 innings, you're top of the list. No one's pitching 200 innings in baseball anymore.
5 guys. Logan Webb, 216 innings. 5 pitchers threw 200 innings a year ago. I'm just looking where Snell was, by the way. So Snell threw 180 on the nose and won a Cy Young in 32 starts. He threw 180 on the nose. That's less than 6 innings per outing. Snell's not the greatest indicator. But yeah, I mean, the point is 180 should basically be the threshold. Like, can you get there?
Like, think about back in the 90s with like Pedro Martinez.
The guy's throwing like 280, right?
No. He's throwing 216, 241, 233, 213, 217.
I know. That's a huge number. And there were guys throwing maybe even more innings, I'm saying, in the 90s.
If I'm looking at, I'll look at Randy Johnson, all right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, this guy just was incredible. I mean, 300 strikeouts, how many years in a row?
A lot.
Right? Pull us up here.
What's his career high innings?
His career high in innings is 271.
That's crazy.
From 1999 to 2006. All right. His lowest innings that he ever pitched from that was, he only had 18 starts in a season. That was 114 innings. But he went a stretch here 271, 248, 249, 260.
245, 225. Yeah, it's crazy.
And he would have 364 strikeouts, 347 strikeouts.
Yeah, but guess what?
I know. You don't get that anymore.
You don't get it. So, I mean, here's the thing with Michael King, they may want to keep him long term. They may want to extend him. They certainly want him in 2025. Are you willing to risk it with someone that's controllable for you for multiple years and double up his innings? And maybe not actually double, but you're asking a lot. I mean, it's a real workload.
Well, I have faith in Ruben Niebla. I have faith that they have a plan set out to potentially get to that mark. And hopefully they hit it. Because if Michael King has a bad year, I mean, if any of these
As
guys,
Michael King goes, so go the Padres?
Well, I mean, you're the top 3 in the rotation. If those 3 guys have really good seasons, then you can patch together that back end of your rotation. It's not as important.
Sure.
You can find innings with guys and you can make it work. But, your top 3 guys have to be really good in order for that to happen.
Which young player in camp has been most impressive to this point? Plus an Aztec rewind as you look back at a big win Saturday night for San Diego State at Fresno State, plus Jim's back page. Don't go anywhere. JD Gaucho, bud. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you.
Thank you, JD Gaucho. He says, when I was at UCSB, we stormed the court after beating UNLV at the Thunderdome in 2007. I like that. Nobody complained then. It'd be sad if that tradition ended. I just saw on the bottom line on ESPN.com, the power commissioners, I don't even know if it's power commissioners, it's just the 10 league commissioners, will meet on Tuesday to discuss court storming. So, things could change, things have been taken out of sports over periods of time. I mean, I don't know. I think I'd be shocked if it just ended on a dime. I don't even know if you can do
All of a
that.
sudden now, like what?
Yeah.
Just because the guy was on Duke?
But will something change? Maybe. I don't know. I mean, they're meeting on it. And you know how things can happen, especially in college athletics. So I don't know what to think about it. I think there's been hundreds and hundreds of them. By and large, there haven't really been any safety issues. As part of the spectacle and pageantry of college athletics, specifically basketball, I think people, by and large, viewers enjoy it. I think it's a cool way to lead a sports center or when you're watching back highlights. I think people do enjoy it. And I think it's a cool experience for those that attend these games as well. So, I mean, I would do everything in my power to try to retain it. But of course, you want to keep people safe as well.
No, storm the court every game.
Yes, that's what Jim says. Storm the court, win or lose. All right. Yeah, storm the court if you lose because you're mad at your team.
Yeah.
Thank you, JD Gacho. Appreciate you. We get to all super chats, guys, as you know, during our breaks. And please subscribe if you're here, and we'll be back momentarily. All right, your Aztec rewind on the other side. Plus, which Padres prospect is having the best spring so far? And Jim's back page. Stay with us.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Aztecs, coming off their win over Fresno State, will take on San Jose State tomorrow night at Viejas Arena. 8 p.m. tip-off. 7 p.m. is when our pregame coverage starts right here on San Diego Sports 760. In Cactus League play today, Padres lost to the Guardians 7-4. Joe Musgrove pitched an inning in 2/3, giving up 4 earned runs. Michael King made his spring training debut, going 2 scoreless innings there. Ethan Salas was 2 for 2 in the game. Tomorrow, they'll take on the Kansas City Royals in Peoria, with Yu Darvish expected to make his spring training debut. Now, during Staples Sit-a-thon, you can save up to $180 on select chairs, desk chairs, computer chairs, even gaming chairs in store only. Offer ends 3/2. See associates for details. Stop by Staples today and grab a seat.
All right, it's a little too early to read spring training stats. And by a little too early, I mean it's always too early to read spring training stats. And we said earlier, like, I'm all for saying they mean nothing. But if you say they mean nothing, then you can't say, then you got to say Musgroves mean nothing and Michael King's mean nothing. And
So if they all, if something means something,
then it all means
then it
something.
all means something.
Do you agree with that?
Yeah, but if it means nothing, then nothing means nothing.
That's, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. So we can, if we're going to say, hey, Merrill's looked awesome, then we need to be willing to say Musgrove hasn't.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to say Musgrove doesn't mean anything, then we have to be willing to say, hey, it's tough to evaluate Jackson Merrill too this spring because it's only going to be 20, 30, 40 plate appearances.
Right.
So that's where you have to. Now, with all that being said, in terms of what has happened in these 5 games, Jacob Marcy, young center field prospect, has gotten on base. Jacob Marcy, young outfield prospect now, or whatever prospect you want to call him, has gotten on base. Ethan Salas today had a couple of hits. So you have some young players that have had a couple of decent days over this short period of time. Nor in the regular season, I would say you don't react to 5 games of data. None of these guys have played 5 games because even the guys that are playing have played like 3 games at this point. So I don't think there's much to react to, honestly, that's happened on field. We're not overreacting to Musgrove. We said it 100 million times. We're not overreacting to Merill. We're just kind of taking it all in and saying, well, it's been 5 games and they're going to play March 13th and they still have needs. And that's where they are.
So the hot take is not going to stick with Joe.
The hot take that you said earlier were like Musgrove is injured because he doesn't want to throw a slider. What was the take? Tell me the take again.
Let me pull this up.
You're going to pull up the take?
No, I'm pulling up what Dennis said.
Okay.
Joe Musgrove, this is from Dennis Lynn.
Okay.
Tweeted out 3 hours ago. Joe Musgrove said he has been working on a sweepier slider after his breaking pitches began to blend together last summer. He still has his old slider and isn't yet sure how much he'll throw the new pitch this year.
So what does that even mean? So was he throwing the sweepier, the quote unquote sweepier slider today?
Apparently. So my hot take was the reason why Joe is trying out this sweepier slider.
Try saying that 10 times.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
Is because his old slider that he still has and his breaking pitches that he said blended together last year
got him hurt.
That's
your theory.
It's a hot take that I don't even really want to run with. I just said it because I want to say it. Does that make any sense? Probably not.
It makes sense. I mean, I don't know if I would. I get what you're saying. I mean, I'm not going to say it, but I understand. Like Darnay said
I feel
earlier.
like I'm the guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like doing the what's his name, Brent? He's like
Pepe Silva.
Yeah, he's like doing all he's like, well, if this happens, then this happens, and then this is happening because
Right.
this is happening.
Right.
I'm just.
That's your theory on these 2 outings, the sweepier slider?
If he's changing his breaking pitches,
well, if you're going to make a change to a breaking pitch, this would be the time.
Yeah, why?
You're saying if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I mean,
He's had a lot of time. So
Hey,
if you've been down since July, it gives you time.
Even with your stuff last year, that was, I guess, blending together. He's still at 3.07 ERA and 17 starts.
Right. Saying it's not necessary. But isn't staying the same falling behind?
But again, he knows way more than I'll ever know, and obviously it's Joe. So if he thinks that, then that's what he thinks.
And the sweeper is the pitch of baseball. So if you're not throwing one, then it's a highly leveraged pitch that allows pitchers to have
I
more
don't know,
success.
man. Whatever.
Take it back. I mean,
hey, if that does turn out to be true, then I'm taking credit for it.
Then it's dumb luck.
It's completely dumb luck.
No, I mean, again, it's hard to read into anything. Because maybe he is working on the quote unquote sweep your slide. But nobody can convince me, and Joe Musgrove essentially said this today, that this is the preferred outcome of 2 outings. Like, he didn't get an out in the first outing and left the first inning today. Now, he came back because it's spring training, but, like, he couldn't get through a clean inning or anywhere close to it in back-to-back outings. Like, that's a little curious. Again, not to overreact to it, but even he said, I don't have the quote in front of me, but he said something along the lines of, I expected more. Yeah, like I expected more from myself. I'm a little disappointed in the effectiveness of my stuff, Joe Musgrove today.
Whenever you're doing something and you're like practicing for it, you always want to have a clean practice, or you want to, practice how you play. Where like you're like, okay, I feel confident. I just ran through it. I'm good. So when the time comes, you feel confident,
right?
And maybe it doesn't matter at all to these athletes in spring training if they have a 7 ERA in spring and they go into the regular season and they're like, screw it, I feel confident no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. For me, I want to at least like practice and have some good results before I get into the regular season. Not saying, not saying Joe's not going to have good results, because I believe he will. It's just probably frustrating a little bit for him, where he's like, I had to be really good this year, and I'm a big part of this team's potential success on how I pitch. I got to be ready to go. I got to go to a fast start. I got to have a great season, and I can't afford to, one, get injured or have like a down year. I just can't.
You just can't afford to have a 43.2.
And we would be saying these exact same things even if Joe had 2 amazing starts. Joe needs to have a big year, can't have a down year. The quote unquote concern, we wouldn't even be mentioning that word, right? But the same things are still true. Joe needs to have a really good season. Joe can't have a down year. If this Padres team's expected to be anywhere close to the postseason, Joe's going to have to be like All-Star Joe.
All right, let's get to this.
Taking a look back at the Aztecs.
Work back. Hit as he let the ball go in the air. Intercepted on the down ball. Downside of the ball coming on down.
This is the Aztec Rewind. Brought to you by Windmill Farms, your natural food market located in Del Cerro.
Steven Vasquez, who hardly ever plays, will come in, a junior. Inbound. Oh, a lob on the inbound. Slam dunk, J. Powell. What a play. Oh, my goodness. 2-hand throw down by J. Powell.
It's like a top 5 play of the year. Baseline inbound for Powell, who is so athletic, and he like ferociously threw this thing down to start the second half. He was terrific. The team was terrific. They won 73-41 Saturday night. All this talk, got to win on the road. They're over 500 road neutral this year. Now, again, it's some of the challenging environments, Utah State, the Pit we've talked about, but they are over 500 road neutral this year now at 8-7. They have one more chance at a true road game against UNLV coming up next week. But, you were looking to take the bad taste away from Tuesday night at Utah State. They did that. And then some Saturday against Fresno State.
Keep it rolling. And hopefully get some help here. It probably won't be until the end of the season.
Right.
Because of that New Mexico Utah State game. But if that, and I don't even know how that would work. Like if going into that game,
San Diego State would already have played the day before. So if San Diego State goes 3-0 and Utah State loses a game, the Aztecs will be co-champions in that hypothetical.
Okay.
Seeding wise, and I think I have this right. Don't quote me on it, even though I'm saying it. I think Utah State would be the higher seed.
Why?
They split in the regular season, then you go to your record against teams based on the standings. Eventually, you're going to get to Boise, and Utah State swept Boise.
Okay.
And San Diego State's 0-1 against Boise. The best they can do is 1-1. And even in a 3-team tie with Boise, then you put the combined records against each other, and Utah State would be better because they swept Boise. So I don't think they can get to the 1 seed in this scenario. They can if Utah State loses multiple games.
That's going to be tough.
That's going to be tough. But they can still be co-champs, which matters because you're still considered champions of the league.
Okay.
If you can get it.
Well, all I know is that Mountain West Conference tournament.
Oh, it's going to be amazing.
It's going to be,
yeah.
Wow.
A lot of big games. No question about it. Windmill Farms is the college area's natural grocer, and they have you covered for all your game day needs. Organic farm, fresh produce and meats, amazing craft beer, and an amazing deli as well. We've told you about your 8th sandwich is free with a sandwich card. Get there. Windmill Farms in the college area. WindmillFarmsMarket.com. They have weekly specials for you. Shop local, shop at Windmill Farms. Jim's back page coming up next. All right, lower mortgage rates are here, and smart homeowners are wiping out all their credit card debt with help from Loan Pronto. Hey, guys, it's Schaefer, and right now, Loan Pronto has a cash-out refinance rate of just 5.49%, which is a huge drop. So you can get refinanced now, get cash out of your home's equity to wipe out all those credit cards and other high-interest loans. You can save hundreds every month with lower payments, or if you still have a mortgage rate in the threes, you can use Loan Pronto's Equity Express line of credit. Just get the cash you need and leave your primary mortgage intact. Loan Pronto can get you $50,000 or more, $100K, even $200,000 in just a matter of days. Bottom line is this: Loan Pronto has several options to help you erase debt and take control of your finances. Call today. You can even skip your next 2 mortgage payments. Call Loan Pronto right now. Here's the number: 619-207-4336. Write this down: 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. 619-207-4336. Equal housing lender. NMLS 1661781. 5.49% has 6.39% APR. Subject to lender approval. All right, tomorrow night, San Diego State, San Jose State, 8 p.m. Pre-game coverage outside the House Arena at 7. Myself, Ben Fletcher, no Jim. Jim's drinking water right now.
That's correct.
Where's
your water bottle?
I know.
That's what I was gonna say. Where's your water at?
Dude, I know.
You know,
When this show ends, I'm going straight to the cooler. No, you're right.
kidney stone. Immediately kidney stone.
Dude, the guy coming off kidney stone should not be joking about kidney stones.
Why? It's not like you can get another one right away.
No. You just transmit it.
They're hold on. They're contagious.
Yeah.
I don't even want to. Let's get to it.
So this story for me, immediate buy once the ticket comes out for this movie.
Okay.
Immediate buy.
Okay.
Like, I don't care. I'm watching this movie. I don't care how stupid it is.
Okay.
According to Deadline, a new movie is in the works called Cola Wars. The film follows Pepsi's attempt to challenge Coca-Cola's century-long reign as the world's top cola.
That's interesting. Who wins in the end?
I mean, obviously it's Coke.
All right. Okay.
Coca-Cola is the number one.
Yeah.
But to make a movie about like Pepsi versus
Soda
Coke,
War. Yeah, it's cool.
Soda Wars.
So it's like a documentary?
It says it's a movie in the works right now.
Okay.
I don't know
No, I think
what
that's
that
interesting.
means, but yeah.
You find that interesting, you're saying?
Yeah. I
Just
do.
like the back and forth.
It's funny because the comment section is all about like, and then all of a sudden Dr. Pepper shows up out of nowhere like Thanos and like just like takes down Coca-Cola and
Wow.
Pepsi.
That'd be quite the movie. Get your tickets now.
Would you watch that movie?
I would watch a documentary on that. I find that interesting, yeah. But I mean, am I like buying tickets now? No.
Have you watched the documentary about the Patriots dynasty run?
What was it on? I don't think so. What's it about? The Patriots dynasty run?
No, it's about.
Do I need
the
more
Padres.
Patriots? That would be like watching like a Warrior. The only people watching that should be Warriors fans or Patriots fans.
True. A Mickey Mantle. All right. Mickey Mantle 52 baseball card. In 1980, when it was a mint 52, so it was like perfect condition. Sold in 1980 for $3,000. All right. A couple nights ago, the 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. Now it's near mint. It's rated an 8.5.
Okay.
Sold for guess how much money?
$37,000.
Okay.
How much was it in 80 something?
$3 grand.
1980, $3,000. It was mint, in mint condition.
30,000.
2.37 million.
Really?
For a graded out 8.5 Mickey Mantle Topps 52 baseball card.
Wow. That's a famous card.
Yeah. It's
Now, am I going to pay that for? Probably not.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah,
no.
probably not.
No,
that's a lot of money.
It is a lot of
I
money.
love cards, though, by the way. The more I think about it, now that I have a son, I really want to get into it.
I still have all the Pokemon cards that you get at the Charizards.
I give them to you?
Yeah, one of our listeners or someone that was listening said you Charizard cards because you called them Charizard.
I kind of blacked that out from my memory, but sell them for your wedding.
Sell them?
Yeah, make money off them.
Sell them. That's all that's on his wedding registry. He's
Pokemon cards.
True.
Give me some Pokemon cards. They'll be good.
Right.
Do you want free food at Buffalo Wild Wings, John?
Do they have vegan wings?
Brent, do you want Buffalo free food from Buffalo Wild Wings?
Sure.
Everyone in the U.S. can get free wings from Buffalo Wild Wings at participating restaurants. Before this year's Super Bowl, the restaurant chain promised free wings to everyone if the game went into overtime.
Oh, yeah.
An offer Buffalo Wild Wings has made in the past. Indeed, Super Bowl 58, which we'll not talk about. Blah, 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 blah,
Why,
blah.
what happened?
I don't know. The offer is good. Oh, crap.
I'm listening. What's it say?
Well, if we can go back in time, you could get some wings because the offer
the
was
offer's
good.
over?
The offer was good today from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
This is classic Jim's back page. He's just reading it along with all of us. He's finding out for a first time like you are.
Well, because the headline says get free Buffalo Wild Wings. Here's how. And I was like, perfect. Save for the back page.
Yo, John, a meteor is going to fly by OA. That
Oh, it
happened
was
last-
yesterday.
that's
We're all
last
dead.
week.
Okay. So next year, if the game goes into overtime, there's a scenario where they maybe do the same offer.
Yeah. And when the Niners go into overtime again and
take the ball again.
Take the ball again.
And again, kick a field goal from the 2-yard line. Like, what are we doing?
Go for it, bro.
Go
Just
for it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll give it to Mahomes. It's fine. I mean, he might not score a touchdown. Oh, wait. It's like Swiss cheese, that drive. Greatest drive in NFL history.
Finally, according to Heritage Auctions,
okay,
the most significant game used item ever to be placed upon the auction block was an autographed game used 1916 Babe Ruth glove.
Oh, wow.
All right. This was put on the auction block, and as I said, most significant game used item ever. But 11 hours before the close of the auction,
right,
the item was just removed. No one knows what happened. Now Heritage is saying that they take great care to ensure the authenticity and accuracy of every item we offer. While the Ruth glove has multiple third-party authentications, we removed it to conduct further research into its background. So they were about to sell what they deemed the most significant game-used item ever. It might not have been real. Could you imagine if you bought something for like $6 million?
Well, that should be insured if it's not real. That's the whole point of going through an auction house, right?
And they said it was authenticated multiple times by third-party users.
That's interesting.
And they still don't even really know. But
what does that glove look like? An oven mitt or something?
It literally is an oven mitt. Yeah.
I think it's hilarious.
It's an oven mitt. But that right there, they said, is like the most prestigious item that has ever gone on the auction is a Babe Ruth used glove that was signed by him.
I've got one right here for calling.
Caller 7, you want a
Babe Ruth? Want that 1960?
Yeah, for free. You want a Babe Ruth signed authentic glove?
Just kidding.
Yeah,
humor. All right, we're back tomorrow, getting you ready for San Diego State and San Jose State, plus reacting to more Cactus League baseball. That's right, Cactus League tomorrow. Royals, Padres from Peoria. Cactus League schedule continues. We're back tomorrow at 3. If you missed anything today, sportssd.com, iHeartRadio app, iTunes, TuneIn Radio, or Spotify. Find us on social media at Jon Jim, JONANDJIM. For Brent and Jim, I'm John. Keep it here at San Diego Sports 760. Okay.